that a lot of people, analysts like Pat Moorhead, are saying is a potential groundbreaker for the industry. We had 40 minutes, so maybe I don't have any excuse, but when you got Amazon, you got AWS, there's so much you can talk about.
And we started the hour talking about the changes in the C-suite over at Alphabet. Do you think it might portend more of a race on cloud when it comes to Google versus Amazon, at least?
I think there's already more of a race on. I've been talking to Google Cloud about that specifically. The way they're beefing up their sales force, probably not unrelated. I did talk to Jassy about how they're beefing up their sales and marketing spend. They mentioned it on the call. It's going to have an impact on margins. He says it's important longer term. Well, he's got to do it because Google Cloud is spending more. Microsoft is spending more. They want those feet on the street to really have an enterprise story.
That was one of Kramer's key points this morning. That's a great topic for Jassy as well. When we come back, what lies ahead for Pichai as the new chief of Alphabet? We're going to break that down after the break. Squawk Alley's back in 2 minutes with the markets up 188 on the Dow.
Tomorrow.
There's a growing threat from Moscow Center, and Britain's intelligence service think they found the man for the job.
The natural-born agent runner is his own man. He may take his orders from London, but in the field, he is the master of his fate and the fate of his agents.
A powerful portrait of our times, told with unflagging tension by one of the greatest novelists of our age, John le Carré's Agent Running in the Field. Available now at Waterstones.
How many tours till Christmas? You know it's not far off when the Advent calendar goes up. At Asda, we've a great range to choose from, including Maltesers and Galaxy calendars for just £2 each. And our Asda Free-From Advent calendar, just £2.50. Asda, let's make Christmas extra special. Selected stores subject to availability, 93 grams to 110 grams.
Coffee shop, cashback, cat flaps, cashback, beanbags, rucksack, hire car, buy a car, flapjack, cashback, dumbbells, cashback, takeaway, holiday to anywhere the sun is at, bum bag, laptop, big match, hatchback, binge watching, paintballing, crab fishing, cashback, anything you want to buy, everywhere you want to go. Guess what? Cashback. Whatever you spend your money on, get money back every time with the American Express Platinum Cashback Everyday Credit Card. Search Amex Cashback. Representative 22.9% APR variable. Minimum annual spend to receive cashback. Terms apply. 18 plus subject to approval.
As the impeachment inquiry moves on to the next level, the House Judiciary Committee is holding its first hearings to decide whether to draft 4 more articles of impeachment.
Impeachment inquiry into Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States. Trump did not give an expletive about Ukraine.
Listen today to hear an expert panel discuss the grounds for presidential impeachment and whether President Trump's actions in the Ukraine scandal are in fact impeachable. Search Impeachment News on TuneIn to listen.
When you're not listening to your team, take it to the end zone, the rim, or the net. Keep up with the biggest moments in sports by following TuneIn on social media.
Block, Cook into the end zone for the touchdown.
From reminders of the live top games to tips of the best sports stations and podcasts.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless.
Follow at TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sue Herrera. Here's your CNBC News update at this hour. The House Judiciary Committee is moving swiftly to weigh findings by fellow lawmakers that President Trump misused the power of his office for personal political gain and then obstructed Congress's investigation.
This is the first hearing we are conducting pursuant to House Resolution 660 and the Special Judiciary Committee procedures that are described in Section 4A of that resolution.
Iranian President Rouhani says that he is ready for talks with the U.S. in a multilateral framework if Washington lifts sanctions. The comments were broadcast on state TV. He called the sanctions wrong, unfair, illegal, and terrorist. And a painting by French Impressionist painter Paul Gauguin sold for over $10.5 million at auction in Paris on Tuesday. That's smashing its estimate of about $5.5 million. The painting depicts a stream with birds and flowers, and it was painted in 1897 while Gauguin was living in Tahiti. And it's an amazing piece of art. That is the news update this hour. Back downtown to Squawk Alley and Carl. Back to you, Carl.
All right. All right, Sue, thanks very much. The attention turns to Sundar Pichai now as Larry Page and Sergey Brin step down at Alphabet, leaving him in charge of both Alphabet and Google. Our Deirdre Bosa has more on what the road ahead has for Pichai. Morning, Deirdre.
Good morning, Carl. Well, Sundar Pichai is, of course, the solid, reliable choice. He's essentially already been running the company, at least all of its core businesses, for the last few years, as Larry Page really disappears from sight. I know you guys have been talking about this. He's been skipping earnings calls, media appearances, sending Pichai to Congress in his place. The big question for the road ahead is this: is Pichai, the mild-mannered engineer turned manager, up for a fight? Can he take Alphabet into the next decade, which is one fraught with more challenges and threats than ever? Regulatory challenges here and in Europe are mounting. Employee activism is on the rise, and privacy practices are under fire, just to name a few. Now, we have had glimpses of Pichai in this role. Last year, during congressional questioning in Page's place, he was evasive on some of the most controversial issues like China and data privacy. He's also quietly made changes to Google's culture at a very contentious moment, reducing the frequency of all-hands meetings and hiring an anti-union consulting firm. Still, Pichai is relatively untested when it comes to the type of battles that certainly other big tech CEOs like Zuckerberg and Cook have been fighting. Next year, of course, is an election year with no shortage of opportunities for missteps. There's also, guys, the key issue of control. While Pichai gets the title, Larry Page and Sergey Brin are still Alphabet's biggest individual shareholders, and they still retain all actual control through their majority voting power. John, you've been asking this too. Do they still have the accountability now under this new structure? Also, guys, importantly, if Page and Brin don't like what Pichai does, say, with the moonshot projects that they have developed and he now oversees, they can always get a new CEO. Back to you.
Deirdre, thank you. Trade war whiplash in the markets, meantime, as the major averages are higher today, snapping a 3-day slump. The U.S. and China are said to be making progress on a deal that's fueling the gains. Semiconductors in particular have been caught in the trade war's crossfire after chips yesterday took hits. Those stocks are now just 3% off their record highs and are on pace to post their best year in a decade. For more, we're joined by TJ Rogers, founder and former CEO of Cypress Semiconductor. TJ, great to see you today.
Good morning.
So in general, semiconductor stocks, the SMH VanEck Vectors Semiconductor ETF, it's up over 66% from last Christmas Eve to the high that we hit for that ETF in mid-November. The numbers haven't necessarily been that strong, though. The gains we've seen in the stocks, does that make sense?
Yep. The overriding thing about semiconductors is Moore's Law. In 2018, the last year for which we have numbers, the market was $474 billion with a B. When I started in chips, it was $30 billion. So basically, there's little bounces on a curve that just keeps going like that.
This week, we get reports that Huawei is making a smartphone without American chips. Do you think it's appropriate to say that we are actually seeing this decoupling between the U.S. and China in terms of tech? And would an actual trade deal change that?
There is a decoupling. It was initiated by the Chinese several years ago. They use about 33% of the chips made in the world, and the Americans make about 42% of the chips in the world. So there's an imbalance. We ship a lot more to them than they ship to us. And they declared as an official 5-year plan, they were going to become self-sufficient in chips. So this phone is what I would call a demonstration vehicle. It's not economically significant, moving in that direction.
So the key point here being that this was happening even before the U.S. started cracking down on Huawei.
Absolutely. They announced it. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons we cracked down was in reciprocation.
TJ, there's been a lot of action in ARM-based systems this year. Microsoft announced the Surface Pro X, which isn't quite as full-featured as an Intel-based PC, but it's getting a lot closer. Then this week, AWS announced AWS Graviton 2, ARM-based instances in the data center for really computing. Are we at a turning point where ARM-based systems are really going to challenge Intel in a way that they haven't in the past?
They're important. Acorn Risk Machines, ARM, English company that makes generic processors. They're all in a computer. When you buy them, you buy code, and then you can turn that code into a chip of your design and your fab. And they become more and more sophisticated over time, and their biggest chips are now starting to nudge into Intel land. I won't say they're at parity with Intel, but they matter. And if you don't have Intel's apparatus for designing chips, they're a viable option for you.
As we head into another decade, I mean, we talk so much about 5G coming, some of the things that have happened, some of the breakthroughs that have happened in quantum computing. We talk a lot about AI, and I realize a lot of these intersect. But what do you see as the big trends that will, I guess, mark and shape the coming years?
I think the curve I described before, which I'll label the Moore's Law curve, the thing that's taken us to, $500 billion, that curve's going to slow down. We're using electronics more and more in everything, but we don't need the super small line with super high performance chips for almost everything we do. So I think this is not in the next few years for sure, but I think over the next decade or two, that curve is not going to stop growing, but it's going to flatten out. And the reason it's going to continue to grow, for example, is, it used to be a car had no transistors in it unless they were in the radio long time ago, and now there are 100 microcontrollers or more in almost every modern vehicle. So the microcontroller being a computer with analog I/Os on it. So growth is going to continue. The rate's going to slow down, I think.
All right, TJ, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
After the break, Elon Musk arriving at court just moments ago. We've got a live report from the courthouse next. Stay with us.
Rainy, 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 rainy. Sergey, why are you in such good mood? It's raining. And? Rain means we take meal pups to cinema. And cinema means they'll be entertained.
Ah, and entertained means they're also quiet for a couple of hours. Oh, let's go. Enjoy more time together with 2-for-1 cinema tickets from Meerkat Movies with the Meerkat app when you buy through Compare the Market.
Qualifying purchases, Tuesdays or Wednesdays, participating cinemas, 2 standard tickets only, cheapest free. T's and C's apply.
Your old car, your loyal friend, so many memories. It's impossible to leave their side.
Until now, get £5,000 off a selected brand new Citroën when you trade in your old car.
Alors, out with the old, in with the new. Hello Citroën, hello comfort.
The Citroën Swappage. Trade in your old car for a brand new Citroën, including the award-winning SUV range.
Citroën.
Discount on OTR price of selected Citroëns excluding C1. Registered by the 31st of December when trading in a qualifying vehicle. Not in conjunction with other offers. Search Citroën Swappage for full T's and C's.
As the impeachment inquiry moves on to the next level, the House Judiciary Committee is holding its first hearings to decide whether to draft 4 more articles of impeachment.
Impeachment inquiry into Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States. Trump did not give an expletive about Ukraine.
Listen today to hear an expert panel discuss the grounds for presidential impeachment and whether President Trump's actions in the Ukraine scandal are in fact impeachable. Search Impeachment News on TuneIn to listen.
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations. You'll also get live commercial-free news, plus live play-by-play games from NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards, at the goal line, it's intercepted!
Listen live as the action unfolds or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown.
Search NFL today.
I'm Scott Wapner. Here's what's coming up. Halftime report top of the hour today. Jim Cramer is with us live for the hour as we debate where stocks can go in this year's final stretch. Plus, Apple squashed by one Wall Street firm today. Our investment committee on whether it is time to worry about shares after a great year. And the stock Cowen calls its best idea for 2020. We'll debate it at noon on the half. We're about 20 away. John, we'll see you in a few.
All right. See you then, Scott. And day 2 of the defamation case against Elon Musk is underway. He arrived just moments ago, and Jane Wells is outside the L.A. courthouse now with the latest. Jane.
Hi, John. He'll take the stand as soon as court resumes at the top of the hour, and we have that video of him arriving. Vernon Unsworth also arrived. Now, Musk yesterday on the stand apologized again to Vernon Unsworth, but he would not testify whether or not he thinks Vernon Unsworth is a pedophile. He says he just doesn't know him. And that pedo guy tweet is really the case here. Was it an insult? Was it a false statement of fact? Musk said on the stand, Unsworth started this war of words when he mocked the SpaceX mini-sub sent to try to rescue that Thai soccer club, saying, you know, he can stick that submarine where it hurts. Musk says his pedo guy tweet was an insult in response. And he said, quote, I was hurt and insulted, quote, I literally did not think he wanted to sodomize me with a submarine, and I literally did not mean to call him a pedophile. Well, the jury will have to decide it and also decide Musk's state of mind, because after the tweet, he hired a private investigator to look into Unsworth, who turned out to be a con man. Also, he sent this email to BuzzFeed saying that Unsworth could be a child rapist. Did he take reasonable care before making those statements, before making that tweet to see if it was true? Musk and Unsworth's attorney sparred quite a bit to the point where the judge told him to, quote, cut the repartee. And in an amazing moment, when Musk was questioned by his own attorney about his childhood in South Africa, which he left at the age of 17, he paused a long time and then said in a very emotional voice, it wasn't good. Musk was not here for jury selection. He was not here for opening statements. He only took the stand when he was called as a witness. And given that SpaceX is about to launch a rocket in the next hour, one can presume as soon as he's done here today, he is out of here. Guys?
Jane, that was my exact question for you, which is the investigator, the fact that he hired an investigator, the fact that he had sent an email that was technically off the record but still published by BuzzFeed. How much of that is actually going to make its way into the courtroom?
All of it right now. The judge has made it clear to the jury the defamation claim is only on the tweets, but you can consider all this other stuff as to Musk's state of mind.
Got it. Is there any kind of, would there be any kind of impact, I guess, if a jury decided that Elon Musk, Elon Musk should be held liable for these comments and voted not in favor of him in terms of result, that this would have any kind of ripple impact on his businesses and his day-to-day operations?
I don't think, certainly he has no interest in being here a minute longer than he has to. As for, they're suing, he's being sued personally. He's worth $24 billion. There's no way a judge would uphold a damages claim that was significant, that would significantly impact him. It's more just another Elon Musk reputation thing. By the way, he also said on the stand yesterday the term pedo guy is common, quote, throughout the English-speaking world as meaning creepy old guy.
Yeah, Jane, I had never heard it. I am familiar with Elon Musk tweets, and I wonder if his tweets outside of this specific insult are coming to play in this trial. The care or lack thereof that he takes, tweeting about all kinds of things, including the companies he runs.
Well, he was questioned about Twitter, and he said there's all kinds of, Twitter's a free-for-all. Some things are true, some things are not true. The judge is not allowing them to bring in the tweet about how he might take Tesla private. He says that's going to be confusing to the jury. But he has been questioned about his influence in social media and where people would believe him and whether or not tweets are true.
Jane, we're going to watch it, obviously. Not surprisingly, Tesla shares largely unchanged on all of this. Appreciate that. Jane Wells watching the trial for us. In the meantime, let's get over to the CME Group, Rick Santelli and the Santelli Exchange. Rick?
Good morning. Thank you, Carl. I'd like to welcome my guests from Even Flow Macro, Mark Summerlin. Mark, good morning. Thank you for being here. Let's get right into it. November ISM, non-manufacturing, 53.9, the second lowest number in over 3 years. ADP, 67,000, second worst number since 2010. But yet, I see rates up, stocks up, so guesses about the outcome of trade seem to outweigh very important macro fundamentals regarding the U.S. economy.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Well, thank you for having me. First of all, the economy is slowing, but it hasn't broken into recession yet and isn't. For the ISM index, a number below 52 would give you some recession signal. So near 54, we're still comfortably above that. And over the last 2 months, I think we have to count our blessings. We've gotten three pretty good things. First of all, the Fed has monetary policy right for the first time in a year. We have trade peace on the horizon. and we have better odds of a moderate Democratic candidate next year. And those three things are enough to stabilize the economy, even if it is slowing down.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue with any of the points you just pointed out. But at the end of the day, the trade outcome most certainly is going to happen. We have no idea when. If politics and what type of candidate emerges on the Democratic side of the aisle, that's also a long way from being finalized. I guess what I want to get down to, Mark, is, for viewers and investors that are watching, how should they proceed if we're in a slowing economy, but yet not in a recessionary economy with all the uncertainty that's out there and the recent volatility?
Well, I think that they should proceed with their longer-term strategies. And there are times when short-term overwhelms, but we're not in one right now where things are actually stabilizing. And when you're at full employment economy, it's okay to be growing slower. And slow and steady is good enough, I think. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Mark, every statement by the Fed and every press conference, and this isn't only here, but even globally, the U.S. employment picture is always top of the list. Even though it isn't as robust as it was 2 years ago, it's solid underpinning, and it's a big positive. If that starts to slowly melt away, will that have a longer-term effect on the level of equities?
I think it's okay for job growth to slow and to maintain higher equities. I do worry. I know you don't want to talk too much about politics, but even Joe Biden has $3 trillion in new taxes, a lot of that on capital gains, and so there are bigger things to worry about. And for the Fed, I really think that the best thing for them to do right now is to fade in the background, and they don't have to be front and center all the time. And they've gotten to a good place, and what would be good for growth and good for markets, I think, for them to just be quiet for a little while.
Excellent. Mark, thank you for your thoughts this morning. Morgan, back to you.
Rick Santelli, thank you. Coming up, we're in the midst of the peak season for shipping companies. DHL's U.S. CEO joins us next in an exclusive right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit. With our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99. And our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
Christmas. A time for celebrating, unwrapping and unwinding. Capture every moment with an epic iPhone 6S with a 12-megapixel camera. Now only $12.99 a month from Tesco Mobile, saving you £72. It's just one of the ways we're celebrating 100 years of great value. Go in store or search Tesco Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Saving £2 per month over 36 months was £14.99. 36-month credit and rolling monthly usage agreements required. Subject to status. Terms apply. See tescomobile.com/terms.
As the impeachment inquiry moves on to the next level, the House Judiciary Committee is holding its first hearings to decide whether to draft 4 more articles of impeachment.
Impeachment inquiry into Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States. Trump did not give an expletive about Ukraine.
Listen today to hear an expert panel discuss the grounds for presidential impeachment and whether President Trump's actions in the Ukraine scandal are in fact impeachable. Search Impeachment News on TuneIn to listen.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards, at the goal line, it's intercepted!
Listen live as the action unfolds or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown to Keenan.
Search NFL today. Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? We've got you covered. With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to every NFL game live as it's happening.
LaShawn McCoy has an opening on the right side, plunges into the end zone for the touchdown.
Or catch it later on demand.
Offset backs behind Mahomes. The give is to Williams. Starts right, cuts it back to the left, and blows into the end zone for the touchdown.
You call the plays. Follow the NFL anytime, anywhere, all season long with TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today. Don't want to miss a second of your NFL team's next matchup? Let TuneIn remind you. Just make sure notifications are enabled on your phone and search for your team profile on the TuneIn app. Then Find the game you want under events and tap Notify Me. We'll send you an alert as soon as live coverage begins.
Market has slowly gotten better and better as the morning's gone on. Dow up 210 now, thanks to semis, obviously oil, transports, even Apple close to the highs of the session. Squawk Alley's back in 3 minutes.
Our gift to you is... Hey, can't watch the big NBA game because your life's just too busy? I've got some news for you. TuneIn Premium is the answer to all your problems. Hear every home and away game live or on demand everywhere you go. Just search NBA to listen.
Want to hear about the latest and greatest things to listen to on TuneIn? For reminders of the biggest live sports games, debates, and breaking news stories, follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected with the audio that matters to you.
This week on the New Yorker Radio Hour, the actor Billy Porter talks about the hard years before the acclaim.
I had just gone through way too many almosts because I was too gay or too black or not urban enough. Like, oh, you're just so special. And it's like you hear that so often. It's like special doesn't pay the bills.
Listen to this episode of the New Yorker Radio Hour on TuneIn today.
MSNBC is on TuneIn. Get up-to-the-minute coverage on news and events from around the world with MSNBC's live 24/7 station on TuneIn. At home or on the go, stay up to date on the latest news and political trends with MSNBC's full lineup of shows, including Hardball with Chris Matthews.
Hi, I'm Chris Matthews. Thanks for listening to MSNBC on TuneIn.
And The Rachel Maddow Show. Plus, when news breaks, MSNBC has you covered with live updates, expert analysis, and more. Search MSNBC on TuneIn today.
Cutting for the net, scores! On the goal line, Marchand scores!
Hockey fans, the 2019-20 NHL season is here.
And tucks it home!
And with this team, it's really fun to be a part of a team like that.
And you can hear the action live on TuneIn Premium. From regular season action to the All-Star Game and through the Stanley Cup in June. Hear the home and away call for every game, for every team live. At home or on the go, never miss a game with the NHL on TuneIn Premium.
Upgrade today. Are you curious what others are listening to on TuneIn? Head to the trending section under Browse to see the most popular stations and podcasts among TuneIn listeners right now. Check it out. You might just discover something new for yourself.
Ah, finally another commercial, said no one ever. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade now and get over 45 commercial-free music stations.
Welcome back to Squawk Alley. Let's head out to Frank Holland now in New York, sitting down with a special guest during this peak shipping season. Frank.
Hey there, Morgan. You know, global e-commerce is projected to grow to a $4 trillion market by 2020, a 14% increase over just this year. And cross-border e-commerce is an increasingly big part of that. Right now, we're at the DHL facility in Manhattan. The company specializes on international shipments of e-commerce in and out of the U.S. for companies like Amazon, JD.com, Shopify, and many others. This holiday season, they're projecting a 15% volume increase between Black Friday and New Year's Eve. It's also the shortest window possible, just 33 days. The last time we've seen a window this short was 2013, when e-commerce, at least here in the U.S., was half of what it is today. And right now, I am joined by that special guest, Mike Parra, the CEO of DHL Express Americas. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get right into it. How do you manage this rush? Fewer days, more e-commerce, and elevated expectations of faster and faster delivery.
So thank you, Frank, and thanks for having me again. You know, it's been a lot of planning. We knew it was going to be a short peak season for us. From an international perspective, we knew we were going to get a rush, specifically coming off Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And being a compressed peak season, it was all down to pure peak planning and some good planning around.
You had elevated volume for Cyber Monday and Black Friday, but you're also projecting almost a 50% increase on December 16th.
Absolutely.
Talk about how you manage that, especially when your things are coming from overseas. You can't just move a fulfillment center closer to people. You have to deal with all that.
Oh, no, absolutely. So first of all, we started with resources. We put on 10% more couriers. We've added over 700 jobs just here alone in the United States for seasonal hires. We're putting on an additional 75 charters specifically coming out of Asia. So all of that went into the pre-planning, and we knew it was going to be a bit short. And again, all prepared. So far, it's been good.
We have to talk about trade. The president saying yesterday that a trade deal with China could wait until after the 2020 election.
That's right.
Can you give us an example of how a trade deal happening or not happening impacts your business and what it means for you?
Well, I mean, as you know, DHL is pro-trade, and trade is good. Trade, I say this everywhere, and I say it in Washington all the time, trade equals jobs. As an example, between 2016 and 2018, we added over 3,000 jobs as a result of trade. So, we're looking forward to a USMCA deal. We're looking forward to a stabilized U.S.-China trade deal. So, again, it's important for us, and it's important for our biggest trade lane, which is China-U.S. And as a matter of fact, we haven't seen a slowdown at all. China is continuing to grow. Over the next 3 days, one customer alone out of China is going to send over 50,000 B2C shipments into the United States that we're going to be delivering.
Well, we've seen lower ISM numbers, but you're saying that e-commerce, B2C e-commerce is still strong.
Absolutely. If you think back to when I started in this business 33 years ago, less than 1 out of every 10 stops was an e-commerce delivery. Today, 7 out of every 10 stops is an e-commerce delivery to a residence, and we're seeing growth. We're going to see a 35% growth in shipment per day from Q3 to now. And we're also seeing an interesting phenomena as well that's happening. It seems to be at the end of every quarter, we're seeing a big push. So we saw it in March, we saw it in June, we saw it in September, and we're seeing it now in December. This facility alone that we're sitting in today has saw a 50% increase in stops just in the last couple of days alone. So, yeah, it's all happening.
And now our Morgan Brennan, I believe she has a question for you.
Sure.
I do. Thanks, Frank. Hi, Mike. Good to see you. I'm curious, DHL over the years has made these investments and made these pushes to really crack into the U.S. market in a meaningful way in terms of package delivery. The most recent example of that announced a little less than 2 years ago. How are these efforts going, and are you actually meaningfully taking market share from FedEx, UPS, and the Postal Service?
Well, I would say that the investments continue. We just recently announced late last year the purchase of 14 new 777 Boeing aircraft, an investment of over 4 billion euros. And that was all done for 2 reasons. One was to enhance our capacity coming out of Asia and Europe into the United States, 1. And 2 was also part of our sustainability commitment long term and our goal to be a net zero company by 2050. So, yeah, we see the investments continuing. And then equally with that, with the increased jobs and the stabilized trade platform that hopefully we'll have here sometime going into 2020, that equals jobs. And as I was just saying to Frank, we've added over 3,000 jobs in the last 24 months and over 700 jobs just in the last, the last 45 days.
So, Mike, speaking of your competitors, here in the U.S., Amazon's expected to more than double the amount it delivers itself this year.
Absolutely.
You guys have a relationship with Amazon. Are they a rising competitor for you in this international delivery market?
No, I would say for us from an international perspective, they're not. They're actually a friend. I get asked all the time. I believe last year Morgan and the team asked me the same question, are they a friend or a foe? They're an absolute friend. Our relationship continues to grow with them. We don't see them as a threat to us based on the fact that we've got a strong global relationship with them. We don't play domestically in the United States. Again, it's the world into the U.S. out to the world, and we continue to grow. And as an example, just 2 days ago, we got the single biggest ever shipping day of international shipments from Amazon, 67,000 international shipments in one day alone that they tendered to us.
All right, Mike Parra, thank you very much for joining us. Also, your company debuting cargo bikes today in New York City. We're going to be touching on that later today on CNBC. Again, joined by Mike Parra, the CEO of DHL Express Americas. Now, back to you, Carl.
All right, Frank, thanks for that. Our Frank Holland. In the meantime, Peloton this morning is responding to that controversy over its recent holiday ad after some Twitter users have called the ad's message misleading, alleging some overtones of sexism. The company responds in part this morning, says, our holiday spot was created to celebrate that fitness and wellness journey. While we're disappointed in how some have misinterpreted this commercial, we're encouraged by and grateful for the outpouring of support we've received from those who understand what we were trying to communicate. Stock hasn't really moved a whole lot on this, although dipped a little bit upon the release of the ad. This is sort of the sorry, not sorry defense, as some said on
Carl,
Twitter.
I think the same person who wrote the ad wrote that response.
Ooh.
My take. I don't know. It reminds me of Steve Jobs saying you're holding it wrong about the iPhone 4. You're watching it wrong. Peloton ad haters.
Yeah, I mean, stock is down 1% again today. We've had a number of analysts who have come on and said this is one of those names that could stand to benefit during the holiday season. I guess the question is whether attention, any kind of attention, is still good attention. We'll see.
Yeah. We should always mention that
People
NBC Universal, our parent company, is an investor in Peloton. Interesting session so far. As we said, it's been pretty stable, even though oil's up more than $2 now. And tonight we'll have Five Below. We'll get Slack, a little more talk about what Enterprise is doing, and RH, speaking of trade in China and all that. So let's get to the judge with Kramer on the half.
Thanks so much, Carl. I'm Scott Wapner, front and center this hour, the last days of the decade for your money. Do stocks which have had a great year have anything left in the final stretch? It is 12 noon, and this is the halftime report.
The rally back on. But should you be putting new money to work in this whipsaw market? Mad Money's Jim Cramer weighs in. He joins us for the hour. A bear call on Apple. Fears about iPhone sales. But the stock's up 65% in 2019. How to play it from here. On Target, shares of the retail giant up 90% this year. Why it may be the best idea for 2020. The investment committee is ready to go. Halftime report starts right now.
All right, welcome. Good to have you with us on this Wednesday. Our investment committee here today, Jim Lebenthal, the brothers Najarian, and Megan Shu, senior investment strategist at Wilmington Trust, and CNBC's Jim Cramer. He, the host of Mad Money. Let's begin with stocks up for the first time in 4 days. Trade headlines, again, the story. Still the worst week for the Dow in 4 months. Investors getting whipsawed by the deal, no deal drama. Jim, I think I'm at the point now, just call me when there's a deal and I'm done, okay? I can't deal with this day in, day out. There's a deal, there's no deal, may not have one before the election. We're close, we're not close.
I was a judge on The Apprentice for many years, okay? And there are always two sides, all right? And I have to tell you many times, we're sworn to secrets about what happened in the actual room, but we wanted these guys to be pitted against each other. The ratings would go down if it was just resolved like this. We had to kind of have an elimination. So you got Kudlow. Is he going to go down the elevator? Mnuchin, is he an elevator candidate? Schwartzman, peripheral player, elevator. Navarro, perhaps. Lighthizer stays, okay? So what happens is this has become a saga. And in the meantime, of course, the Chinese keep changing the goalposts. I mean, let's say they were supposed to do a deal, and that was a Kudlow-Mnuchin deal, and then the Navarro side was saying, wait a second, as soon as you play your hand like that, they're going to backtrack. And yeah, sure they did. They said, listen, we don't want just December 15th stay. We want rollback. Don't forget, they wanted to buy the pork on the cheap. They actually need the pork, okay? Yeah. They need the pork. So what do they tell them? Right. We got all the pork. So what do they tell the president? Hey, we're not spending $50 billion on the pork. Well, how about $40 billion? And the president says, wait a second, you actually need this stuff. It's not like soy.
But herein makes my point in a way as well. It's like, okay, we're talking about which wing of the trade negotiation is winning. We should be talking about December being the best month of the year. Right. Stocks are traditionally up about 3%. Right. We came in with a ton of momentum, and here we are talking about the sausage-making process of the trade talks. Can we get through?
Yeah, we
past
can.
All this stuff and have a rally or
the
not?
The strongest stocks. We're going to talk about what stocks are, value versus. But it was only tool. Shouldn't that be at 100? I mean, Parker Hannifin, that should be at 100. I mean, Boeing should be at 180. If all this stuff really mattered, United Technologies, we go, hold to sell. The stocks that are doing great are the China stocks. So, I mean, maybe we should just put this whole China thing in a box, stop talking about it, and start talking about companies that are doing well.
Thank you. I mean, but you also did say, and I heard it in one of your promos, we did get too complacent.
Well, we got complacent in the sales forces and in the workdays. The stocks that we just decided they don't have earnings, but they got revs. They got revs. We're fine. And that's not what this market wants right now. It wants dividends because rates came down. It wants buybacks. It doesn't want stock issuance. And it doesn't want no dividend. And that's what's going on right now. And the complacency on the highest multiple. Look at Workday. Man, good job. About Coupa, I had that on the other day. CrowdStrike, Zscaler. Now, these are companies I have on all the time simply because I want to introduce people to an Okta. I want them to know what they are. What they are stocks that go higher. But now what they are stocks that go lower. And people want Union Pacific. Did anyone read the Union Pacific release today? We're doing badly. The numbers are horrible. Things are down. Car loads are awful. You figure what? It's down 5? No, it's up 4. Yeah. Value. Buyback stock, dividend. So it's a little counterintuitive right now. What is the railroad most levered to China? Union Pacific. And in the meantime, Zscaler has nothing to CrowdStrike, nothing to do with China. It doesn't matter. If anything, they're good because if China's hacking, you hire them.
All right, so Pete, couple of down days to start the month. Now we got a reasonably big up day, at least at this moment, up 200 on the Dow. What's in store for as we said at the top, we're calling it the final days of the decade. What's going to happen with your money?
Well, we're going to continue to trade, obviously, off everything President Trump says about the trade war. I mean, that's just something, that's a given. But I think to Jim's point, what he's pointing out is people definitely are going for quality. Those are the names that are moving to the upside. When we're going to the downside, there's still quality names that are being bought. Matter of fact, yesterday, the one thing that I think got lost in all of this sell-off, we're down 400 points, the pharmaceutical names were trading pretty well. As a matter of fact, biotech was trading really well as well. Biogen, Merck, Pfizer, you're the man. You know what I'm talking about. So, yes, there are quality names, though, out there, Scott, and those are the names you're going after. If they're getting hit on those down days, those are the best opportunities out there because, to Jim's point, you're looking for those names that have dividend yield. They're buying back stock. And, oh, by the way, they're quality names where they're showing you where their growth is, and they're not complaining about the trade war. They're embracing what they have to do to make themselves better.
Oh, my. Can I just tell people to look at AbbVie right now? Look at AbbVie.
Yeah.
I mean, AbbVie, they just boosted the dividend. AbbVie closing on Allergan, undermanaged company. Now it's going to be with an overmanaged company. It's going to be a fantastic combination and very inexpensive.
Yep.
So look, I'll make this point. The value trade that we were looking at after Labor Day, it got really hot, okay? Backed off in mid-November. It backed off at the exact moment that China said, we want tariffs rolled back, and Trump said, nope, not going to do it, okay? I see that starting to gain speed as tariff rollbacks are back on the table, and maybe we get this phase one. But I got to be very clear. Look, I'm a value guy. I own some Apple, I own some Google, that's fine. But
you're doubting whether value's got the momentum to carry itself into next year?
Without phase one, it doesn't work. Really? It just doesn't work. Look, a stock that you and I are on opposite sides of is Caterpillar, okay? If you look at Caterpillar, as you probably have right now, Jimmy, on the fundamentals, you say, I don't want to own it.
No, my child just we bought it. We flipped it at 143 because they missed the quarter so badly. The CEO was like, hey, I did badly. And the street said, oh, he did well.
But the stock is up
like the Expedia guys, they didn't do well.
But, Jimmy, the stock's up about 20% in 3 months. Not on the fundamentals.
No.
It's up on the basis of a phase one deal gets done. Maybe we get the Belt and Road cooking. Maybe other countries, maybe Germany starts priming the pump with fiscal stimulus. That's why it's up. So if you look at that as a classic value play right now, and you don't get phase one, Caterpillar goes from 141 back to 119.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not going to disagree with that. But I would tell you that there are others that seem to be impervious to this thing. Honeywell. I mean, high quality. Right? Yeah. Honeywell, it just does. It's a winner no matter what day. I find that you don't have to look, and we don't have to overthink this. Take a stock like Illinois Toolworks, misses quarter. What does it do each time? Goes higher. Well, that's it's a little counterintuitive.
It's China.
China.
It's because we think we're getting phase one.
But it's not really a lot of China. I had PPG on yesterday. Michael McGarry. They had an unbelievable quarter. Why? China. They're making a lot of cars, though. They do that. And also the cans. People don't like plastic anymore. I know you like the plastic. Forget it.
What do you
Forget it.
All right, Megan Shu.
I think he's looking at the tie when he says
you were right in the middle of that conversation.
I am right in the middle.
Where are you on
what part of it do you want to take?
Well, I think you're going to have a tough stomach with the trade back and forth. I think we're going to continue to have some back and forth. I think there was perhaps a little bit of a consensus that a deal is going to get done. It has to get done. The Trump administration doesn't want that to be the narrative. They want to have some negotiating room. So I think what we've heard in the past couple of days is some posturing. Our base case is still that we get a phase one deal. More importantly is what happens with not necessarily the substance of the deal, but what happens with the tariffs. A tariff rollback would be very positive for cyclicals.
So the idea that you got a lot of your gains this year from multiple expansion because earnings were, next to nowhere, that earnings better come back in 2020 to carry the market higher because it's gone as far as it can go on multiple expansion. You buy that argument this side of the table?
If you buy a bit of a recovery happening,
you better think that things are going to recover. I mean, you better get some level of growth. If you think you can get earnings growth.
Oh, I like that. Post-Brexit.
Yep. If you're looking, look at where the British pound has gone, Scott, as the Brexit talks continue forward and as the Conservative Party continues to gain strength, which is favoring Boris Johnson and his policy. So when you look at that and the British pound moving up versus the dollar, that's showing you that there could be some recovery out of for instance, the United Kingdom. It could also be out of Germany and the rest of Europe. That's a very strong thing for the companies that have 50, 60, 70% of their sales overseas.
Right.
So to Jim's point, when you see Workday and Zscaler, and I'll throw Slack in, which is going to have earnings tonight.
Yeah.
These are all stocks that have revenue, but they don't have profits. I think there's an awful lot of them like Microsoft, like Facebook, like Apple, like a lot of these stocks that do have both revenue and pretty substantial bottom line profits.
And we have to love them.
Yep.
We can't throw them away.
And they sell an awful lot of that outside of our borders.
And their numbers are going to be up. Did anyone look at the 6 mega trends that Microchip had this morning? The pre-announcement of Microchip, this was the most important thing that happened. What are they in? They're in 5G, data centers, autonomous driving, IoT, Internet of Things, electric vehicles, AI, machine learning. I mean, these are all on fire. Microchip.
I've got people selling some of the chips, if not the SMH, just because it's had such a great year.
Well, who are these people? I'd like to talk with them. Are they disciples? Are they disciples of Navin Johnson? Are they? Did they study with Navin Johnson?
15%.
They studied with Navin Johnson, right?
You think the chips are still a good place to be?
Yeah, they're not even that expensive. They're not. Okay, Nvidia's expensive, but they just raised last night. They raised the data center numbers. Collect grass. Look, I've got to tell you, when I see companies pre-announcing higher than expected numbers, I get positive. I mean, I know Union Pacific bad numbers, they get positive too, but I'm just saying that the semiconductors, no, they're not. Texas Instruments isn't expensive. And by the way, the banks, come on. So JP Morgan's 14 cents, really fun. Micron is so cheap.
Micron's too cheap, Intel's too cheap, Seagate, and some of these other names.
I'm seeing unusual option activity in my brain in Micron.
Me too. I'm seeing inside your brain. Yeah,
that's a dangerous place to be, my friend.
It's a great place to be.
You just mentioned the financials, and I'm thinking about up to 6 months ago, there was an 18-month period that every time we talked about the financials, it's like everybody's faces turned green because it was awful. Okay, so we want to go to where the puck is going. Yeah, I'm going to use that hackneyed phrase. Where do we think we're going to be saying the same thing 6 months from now? I'm going to put it out there. Energy, all right? Nobody's talking about... No, but let's think about this for a second.
Yesterday.
I had the Congo guy was on. Schlumberger's moving up because the international drilling's going up. Are you going to give me an Aramco thing?
No, to heck with the Aramco. But let's...
If you like Apache, I'm leaving.
No. Let's just do the super major integrated
He likes
oils.
Marathon.
Why do we have to...
Port Apache to zero.
Why do we have to make this hard with a Schlumberger, which is still fighting for drilling?
They're having a good quarter. Why not? Why is that hard?
5 times earnings. The bigger picture here.
Numbers are going up.
Fine. But why not play it easy with the Chevrons, the Royal Dutches, the Exxon? You got these great dividend yields, 10, 12
because
times
BP,
earnings.
which my travel trust owns, sucks.
But that's my
You're allowed to say that. Zuckerberg said it, Sonny Warren said
the same thing about Citigroup, about Wells Fargo, about all the financials up until 6 months ago.
But that's
I'm putting a stake in the ground, and I'm saying 6 months
you really are, because those are what I call fossil fuels. And the young managers, I got Robin tonight. The young managers, they think fossil fuels... They'd rather, honestly, they would rather cut off your left arm than buy a fossil fuel.
You're a well-read man, so I'm sure you've read the very many articles that are pointing out the amount of fossil fuel that has to go into battery development, whether it's mining the lithium, mining the cobalt, constructing these batteries. Yes, eventually there will be a payoff, but right now there is demand for fossil fuels, amongst other things, to build the renewable energy sources.
Well,
and yesterday, just as a real quick aside, so yesterday Scott and I were talking about unusual activity, right? And Scott's over there and he goes, wow, you got 2 of these things. I had BP, which is actually moving up today. Yep, and Marathon, which has only hit maybe 50 times in the last 2.5, 3 months, something like that.
How about consolidation?
Up. It's gone from 46, it's run up, and now it's up through $60. It's been higher, but it's been bouncing around in between, call it 58 and 62. I agree with you, BP wasn't performing, but maybe that's the catch-up stock now at this point in time.
I hope so.
Because when you look at energy yesterday, about 50%, not quite, but almost 50% of the unusual option activity we had was somewhere in energy. Multiple big beta names, some of the names that, get kicked around, but also some of the big names, like a BP, Royal Dutch, some of these names that don't get talked about very often. We always talk about Chevron, Exxon. BP, Royal Dutch, those are names that are rarely talked about on TV. I know you do, Jim. But overall, you don't hear those names being talked about. Energy right now, we are seeing more and more of that flow back into the energy space.
Yeah, and I would like to combine something John said earlier and something Jim said about where the puck is going. So John was talking about those companies that get a lot of their revenue from overseas, and I would take that one step further and say that we're seeing opportunity outside of the U.S. in international equities. So anytime you get signs of a bottoming of growth, which I would say we're getting. Some mixed data, but I think bottoming is a process, so that's okay. We do expect a recovery in 2020, and so the higher cyclicality of international equities, they're more export dependent, points to better opportunities, specifically in international developed equities.
So we're saying that value is going to outperform, or is going to at least
I didn't say that.
continue to perform?
I thought I was clear. If you get phase one, if you don't, we're dead in the water.
Yeah, no, we're not dead in the water. I mean, a lot of companies doing great.
I'm talking about value. That was the question.
I'm talking about everything.
Yeah, but you just made the case for energy.
I did, but I'm saying the whole time, and for months, I've predicated this on phase one getting done. There's nothing new in what I'm saying. There's nothing provocative in that. If you don't get phase one, Caterpillar trading at 13 times earnings with 0 EPS growth does not trade at 13 times earnings. Trades at 10 times earnings. It's ugly.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say we expect value to strongly outperform, but I would say be careful betting against value. Betting against value has been the right move for the past few years, but to have value work, you need things like a steeper yield curve, you need positive growth surprises, and so I think we could see that to a degree, but I wouldn't be, we're not expecting a massive steepening of the yield curve that generally helps value.
The other strategy you guys were saying, buybacks, dividends. So UBS has 20-plus buy-rated stocks with attractive dividend characteristics, they say, all right?
Right.
Citigroup, 2.5% yield.
Own it.
Lilly, Molson Coors, Darden, Restaurant Brands, Yum Brands, Norfolk Southern, BNY, Mondelez, DuPont, Comcast, parent company, Huntsman.
Well, I mean, every one of those except
By the way, huge buying in that one yesterday.
Wait, Huntsman?
No, Comcast.
Comcast.
Really?
We can say it now, but we can say yeah.
Oh, it's unusual.
Yeah.
Look, I think that almost every one of those stocks is terrific. I mean, Citi, I was debating trying to dump it because it's kind of done nothing. The guy's buying. He's buying 10% of the company back. It's a 2.74% yield. It's incredibly inexpensive. If you do get any sort of phase one, Mr. Phase One, then the stock goes even higher. I mean, what are you going to do?
You like Bank of America too, or U.S. Bank, some of those names?
US I'm a giant ETF.
How about Wells Fargo with the new CEO?
Oh my God, you kidding me?
Yep.
Some clown, I'm sorry, Mr. Clown, downgraded.
He was wrong.
Completely. That downgrade of Wells Fargo was a fatuous piece of research.
That was
not you know who else is downgrading it? That the obtuse warden in Shawshank would have sold soon. Right? Tell me that. Andy Dufresne would have said, you're obtuse.
How much has Wells gone up since Scharf was named
About
CEO?
6.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but he's going to do a house cleaning course. Remember, he's a Mr. Technology. I mean, he goes in, he's a Grim Reaper kind of fella. Now, in business, he's vicious. Off the desk, he's kind of a nice guy. But he doesn't want anyone to know that. It's kind of like in The Fugitive, there with the...
I don't care.
Exactly. Don't say, Mike didn't care. Okay. But I think that Scharf's going to go in there with a sickle. Not a hammer and sickle like the Democratic Party.
But it's still going to take time to fix, no?
No. Not him. No, not Charlie Scharf.
But the whole space is so easy. Look, you've already seen the yield curve steepen once trade talks got back on track. All right. You get the 10-year up towards 2%. I think easily. You get phase one done. By the way, phase one is the dumbest deal I've ever seen. Why we're even having a negotiation about an empty deal like this? We should just get it done.
Why do you say that? Phase one is Steve Schwartzman opening banks to China. So you can get JP Morgan. You can even buy DJGS.
By the way, Jimmy, I'm not sure that gets done. I think all that gets done is we sell them some agricultural products, and maybe we walk back some restrictions on Huawei. If we get tariffs, if we get what you're talking about, great. But really, the meat of the trade negotiations is going to be the next phases whenever they come. We shouldn't be wasting time as a country, as a globe on this phase one. We should get it done, get the yield curve steep, and it's not going to matter whether it's...
But how about he said, look, maybe I should just wait till the end of 2020. I mean, why not? I mean, some of these candidates are saying that because of coal, they're going to shut down China. I mean, I think that she has everyone thinks she's a genius. Mainstream media loves she. Hey, 100 million people in concentration camp, but we love she. Hong Kong, they burned it down, we love she. Well, I got to tell you, she's major miscalculation, because if he's looked at the Democrats, first of all, does he know that you need 67 guys to find a guy guilty? They ought to do a little constitutional analysis.
How do we get back on this trade thing?
Well, no, because in 2020, if you get Elizabeth Warren, I know she peaked,
because it's what matters.
But they hate coal so much. They hate coal so much that they will hate she more than Trump. Trump is a guy you can deal with.
I want you to I don't want you to say phase one for the rest of the program.
Okay. You're barred from phase one. You're barred.
Yeah.
We already did it. We overdid it on phase one. Now
would you rather talk about Eli Manning or phase one?
We're on phase three, which is my dividend stocks that I wanted to talk about. Eli Lilly.
Eli Manning?
You like that?
I'd rather be, I'll give you a quick answer because I know you want to get focused back, so I'll give you real quick. I'd rather be in Merck right now. I'd rather be in Pfizer right now. Eli Lilly's fine, but I think the pipelines and some of what's going on at the very high end of the management of those two companies, they're going to deliver. Disney's another name. Gives you a great dividend. They buy back their stock. I mean, I could go through the list of the stocks I own, Scott, when I'm looking at them. Pepsi, Coke, they're quality names that give you a dividend yield, that are buying back stock. That's why I own those names. And on down days like yesterday, when you get a little bit of a volatility, it's a better chance that I might buy a stock. But otherwise, with this low volatility, I've been more using that because the calls are cheaper.
Look at that.
Implied volatility is cheaper because it's come down.
Merck, 17 times earnings. Keytruda's an
phenomenal.
Amazing trade. Okay, I mean, 17 times earnings for St. Merck.
Yeah,
what are we crazy? What are we crazy? I mean, the Keytruda could be the biggest drug ever. Could be past Humira.
Scott, I've got a high dividend payer for unusual activity.
What is it?
That
is
happens
it
to be somewhere in the J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference. And I think you guys are going to like that one.
High dividend.
Yeah. No, don't guess. Don't guess.
Okay.
Of these restaurant stocks, Darden, Yum, restaurant brands, which one's the
Yum
best?
hurt the most by the willy-nilly activity in delivery. So, and the last quarter was really bad. Restaurant brands had a pretty good quarter. I like that. But I think Darden's due for a bounce. I really do. Darden quarter was not that good.
QSR's a pretty strong company because when you look at what they're doing in the Impossible Burger, rather than Beyond Meat and all the rest of it that they did with Burger King, but the chicken sandwich too. I know it sounds crazy.
No, it isn't crazy. I used to follow Popeyes. I used to call it Popeyes.
Popeyes fried
Philly.
chicken. Yeah.
That was unbelievable. You still can't. I got one. Killer. I like the stock. I like Quick Serve, but my favorite is Wendy's. Because Wendy's breakfast is going to be amazing.
Yes, he's right.
Yep, I've had a preview.
Scott, I've got a twofer for you. It's one stock, but two sides. Shopify.
Oh my God, I love Shopify so much. The 360 level. It's at the 360 level. How did you know it's at the 360 level?
I read his script.
Oh my God, Shopify's fabulous.
Take a look at this because after Black Friday and after the weekend, people were saying maybe 900 million when they threw in Cyber Monday. Now, a couple days later, they've upped that target through $1.5 billion on that e-commerce cloud-based platform for these relatively small merchants. I mean, obviously, the real big guys are doing it elsewhere, but for the rest of them, this is a huge tell as far as consumer spending and as far as technology, because this is the cloud. And that's how they're getting it done, through e-commerce and the cloud.
Everybody wants to buy that company. I've talked to two major companies in Silicon Valley in the last 2 weeks. They want it, but Shopify is a rigorous Canadian company that does not want to be taken over by an American pirate.
But there are more than, there are at least two companies in Silicon Valley who want to buy Shopify.
That are both bigger than 70 billion. Yeah. But the Shopify people don't want to sell because they represent empowerment. They're empowerment. If I told you the two, then I would have to
start looking for market cap.
I know
total Fight Club situation.
Good friend of Jim's.
71 billion.
Total Fight Club situation.
I know.
I'm
in that hit.
Okay.
I'm still trying to get the one, trying to guess the one you wouldn't give me. I've been,
coming out soon.
Clicking.
Coming up over there.
They'll be over there. I think it's going to be Bristol Myers.
No, it's not Bristol Myers.
Why not?
I'll tell you this much.
That talks about the fly.
But I just want to get back to this. Without naming the names, this sounds like news to me. Shopify's been approached by these companies?
Multiple times, though. And Shopify has said on air to me, listen, we're not for sale. Everybody big wants to buy us. So, I mean, it is an amazing
Everybody's for sale.
If you have a small business.
The stock's rising on this reporting. That's why I wanted to get
back. But the numbers are great. You know, look.
It's rising on news of a possible down the road sometime.
They are not going to sell.
And look at how big it is, Scott. It's 43 billion right now today.
Well, but the numbers
that takeout number would be huge. And to Jim's point, it would have to be a significantly bigger player to step in and do
that. But they're rigorously independent. It's like a family company.
Yep.
It's a little like Canada Goose, except for it has growth.
Okay, we'll keep our eye on Shopify based on Jim's reporting.
I love Shopify.
Just got back from Silicon Valley. You were at a drink first for a
whole week.
Okay, so let me do this.
What?
I want to get to Apple before we take a quick break.
Oh, the gentleman who said it was no good?
Clown grade.
Maintain sell at Maxim One of only, well, I mean, he's not the only cell. Right?
Oh, I know.
There's 6 cells on the street out of 43, right? So it's a tiny minority. Reiterated sell, $190 price target. Stocks had an incredible year, right?
Well, I mean, look, if they're put on the unreliable, what is the Chinese list that they're talking about? The unreliables list. I mean, I think I have.
It's not like there's no risk
I have
around the
Mattel on
story.
tonight. I think they got a toy called the unreliables. I mean, honestly, if the Chinese, if they decide to do something negative on Apple, yeah, then Apple gets hit and the guy will be right. You know, you ever read The Gambler by Dostoevsky? This guy he's playing 0-0. I mean, maybe he gets lucky. 0-0 does not come up very often, just for those who
That's
don't.
a good analysis. Look, the China thing, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot if they weaponized Apple. We know that. There's so many things going right for Apple right now. The new iPhones are selling. The supply chain is reporting in that they're getting a lot of orders. AirPods are fantastic. Services are going.
Do you have
I
any?
mean, I could go
I
on
can't
and
get
on.
them.
I do not.
Try getting them. There's
my
4
point.
in New York that they claim they have. I don't think
the bigger point, and by the way, the momentum in this stock, I mean, this stock just does not quit. You know, I mean, yes, it's off about 3% from a high that it seems to be setting week after week. I just don't know how you shoot against it here. You can't even use the valuation. It's not that ridiculous of a valuation.
Plus the cash, then they're buying back stock. We talk about dividends. They're doing all of the right things financially, Scott, but also the fact that this guy is still focused so closely on the phones, and you just talked about that right now supply chains are actually indicating something different than this particular analyst is talking about. But even so, Scott, the fact that they went under 50% on that being the revenue source, that to me is huge because the stock's still going higher. Why is that? Because the analyst community finally decided, hey, you know what? Services are growing very rapidly. It is a big portion of what they're doing right now in terms of revenue. Add in the wearables, and you're at a pretty decent percentage of what's coming in.
I worked on them forever to break out.
You still got the phone, but the phone's going to. That is going to decelerate.
It's the razor. It's finally the razor. This is dollar shave cup. I mean, I honestly got them finally to break out the service revenue. Now, on every one of those calls I do with my buddy Josh Lipton, I always say the same thing. I always say, Luca, how about the law? Give me the lifetime value of a subscriber, of a guy who owns a phone, because 99% customer satisfaction. Jim, we're working on it. When I give you that number with Apple Plus, when I give you that number with cloud, how many services do you pay? It comes out at 2:30 a.m. You ever see that? You just paid for this. The lifetime value of a person who buys an Apple phone is maybe the greatest subscription in the world. And that's what's going to happen. Got me?
That's a perfect, just stop right there.
Where we
start
go?
that was just dramatic. It's all good. It's
going to happen.
Leave it there.
Yeah, it's a little like the Irishman, but they were like 40 years too old.
We didn't leave it there.
I mean, these guys are like Jimmy Hoffa. If he lived that long, he would have had a great run.
The analyst, by the way, who made that call is going to be on Squawk tomorrow morning. So,
which guy?
Don't miss that. The Maxim analyst.
The guy,
right
the
there.
wrong guy?
Right there.
Maybe he's right tonight. Maybe he'll be right tonight. Terrific. Good luck. Good luck to you.
All right.
Probably
what
nice
else is coming up on the half.
Hitting the bullseye. Target up 90% this year, and it's just been named a best idea for 2020. Some of our experts own it. The debate is straight ahead in Call of the Day. Plus, Jim Cramer and the Investment Committee are ready to answer your questions. To reach us, go to cnbc.com/halftime or tweet us using the hashtag AskHalftime. The Halftime Report with Scott Wapner and the Traders is back in 2 minutes.
Interactive Brokers pays 1.06.
This year, make Christmas shopping a pleasure. Come to Bicester Village, with over 160 beautiful boutiques set in a fairy tale Cotswolds Christmas garden, glittering by day and magically illuminated by night. After a day's hard work finding the perfect gifts, reward yourself with festive menus and cocktails at Farm Shop Restaurant and Cafe by Soho House & Co. or a delicious dinner at Cafe Wolseley. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
Your old car, your loyal friend, so many memories. It's impossible to leave their side.
Until now, get £5,000 off a selected brand new Citroën when you trade in your old car.
Alors, out with the old, in with the new. Hello Citroën, hello comfort.
The Citroën Swappage. Trade in your old car for a brand new Citroën, including the award-winning SUV range.
Citroën.
Discount on OTR price of selected Citroens excluding C1. Registered by the 31st of December when trading in a qualifying vehicle. Not in conjunction with other offers. Search Citroen Swappage for full T's and C's. Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations. You'll also get live commercial-free news, plus live play-by-play games from NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
The Better Network is now on TuneIn. This is Brent Musburger. Search the Better Network. That's the BETR Network. And then let us get you better prepared to better enjoy the day in sports. The NFL, college football, basketball, hockey, baseball. Sharpen your edge. The Better Network is now on TuneIn. Be better informed. Be better prepared. Search the Better Network. That's BETR.
On the goal line, scores! It takes it home!
Hockey fans, the 2019-20 NHL season is here.
Here's Pietrangelo, he scores!
And you can hear the action live on TuneIn Premium.
The move, and a shot, they score!
From regular season action to the All-Star Game and through the Stanley Cup in June. Hear the home and away call for every game, for every team live. At home or on the go, never miss a game with the NHL on TuneIn Premium.
Upgrade today.
On this week's On the Media, seeking answers to our domestic troubles, we look east to Poland, a country wrestling with disinformation, xenophobia, and a battle over its own story.
The assumption that we had finished with those arguments and that we'd all learned the lessons of the Second World War was wrong.
Tune in for this week's On the Media from WNYC. Listen to the On the Media podcast on TuneIn today.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sue Herrera. Here's your CNBC News update at this hour. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg says there's always been disagreements within NATO, saying there are 29 different countries from both sides of the Atlantic with different histories and geography. But he said in the end, they all stand together.
Disagreements will always attract more attention than when we agree. And that's in a way how our open, free, democratic societies work. So I don't complain about that. That's just a fact. Second, there has been disagreements in NATO as long as this alliance has existed.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu departing Israel for a meeting with Mike Pompeo in Portugal. He says he will bring up Iran and a U.S.-Israeli defense treaty with the Secretary of State. This as he fights for his political survival. The Vatican announcing that Pope Francis has accepted the resignation of Buffalo's Bishop Richard Malone. Malone had ignored repeated calls for him to step down over the past 2 years amid criticism of how he handled allegations of clergy abuse. You are up to date. That's the news update. Scott, back to you.
Okay. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, Sue Herrera. All right. Target is on a tear this year, up nearly 90% since January. Cowen says the rally will continue into the new year. They named Target the best idea for 2020. They say the retailer both profitable, innovative. It's also on Cramer's watch list.
Oh, yeah.
We've made it our call of the day. I suggested the other day that in the conversation of CEOs of the year, that you've got to put Cornell in the conversation, just for, what they've been able to do.
Well, I love Oliver Chen, who did this. He's a friend. And I think he's absolutely right. I think the only thing he left out of this is that how many people can manage 5 different formats? That's how much Brian Cornell does. I went to the inner city store on Flatbush in Brooklyn. Most beautiful store. First floor, he's got the Starbucks and the CVS. Second floor, he's got a lot of housewares trying to kill a Bed Bath. At the top floor, where's the guy? He's got the uniforms for the area. He builds soccer fields when he puts up new stores. I mean, this is I told him, I said, listen, I shook him. I said, will you start talking about yourself as being a great guy?
He doesn't have to. He's got Pete to do that.
Oh, yeah, the Minnesota. Yeah. No, I love the guy.
But the guy's done an amazing job since he took over, right? I mean, the transformation that they made at Target, that's really what it's all about. He went to digital. He was in front of everybody else.
What did he know about digital? He learned.
Right. And Jimmy, how about the fact that when he bought Shipt, it was a $550 million purchase. Meanwhile, Walmart's paying $18 billion for their couple of big purchases to be in that same. So he's doing this efficiently. He's doing it smart. He's got a lot of private label as well.
And you know what you did? Private label.
And you know what you did not hear on his call, and it's the most important thing I think about the last earnings cycle we've had. He didn't mention tariffs. It never
No.
came up in the entire,
The man a
however
mess.
many hours. He didn't sit there going, well, it would have been a little better if the tariffs, blah, blah, blah. He didn't go there.
Let me ask what I think is a fair question, though, among all of the accolades that you think he deservedly should get. Stocks up 80%.
Well, there's a big short squeeze. People thought it was going to pull a Kohl's or pull a Macy's. They obviously didn't visit the stores. The stores are beautiful. Absolutely, the private label, by the way, the margins are going up there.
What
Most people
happens,
private label is junk.
what happens if the consumer just slips just by a touch? Doesn't a stock like this pay the price?
It's not overpriced, though. It's not Walmart. When you look at the PE versus Walmart or some of the competitors, their PE is much higher. Costco, much higher. These are good names, quality names. I'm not putting them down. But you still look at Target and you look at where it's trading, price to earnings. This is still a very inexpensive stock with a lot of upside.
But automatic data, I said, okay, they're going to take some profits in these. I mean, we get the ADP number. They'll take some profits in these. But the fact is that Oliver does some of the most quality-oriented work.
Best in the business.
He is the best in the business. By the way, if you ever sit with him, you'll meet him. Like I said, I was waiting for my wife for our anniversary. It was her birthday, whatever, at Bernadette. And he's there.
You got to work Lisa into every story.
What the hell? Why not? We're going to work her in later. Believe me. I'll work her in later. Hey, listen, man. Maybe things aren't so good at home. This is my chance. Just kidding. Been there. Okay. So, no. I mean, so I see him at Bernadette. I got the guy. We all love the guy there. Repair.
Yeah.
And I see him. He goes, "Hey, Jim, real." I said, "Well, hi, Oliver. How are you?" No, real. It goes to 80. I said, "Well, how's Cowan?" How about Target? And he is more of a stock junkie than any of us. All I wanted him to do was say, "How are you?" Just kept hitting me with stocks.
Yeah, and Jim's talked about the store presence, but there's also the story of the investment that Target made over multiple years when the stock, didn't really do much during those years, but the investment in the brands, the delivery, the digital delivery, but also the pickup in store, and their footprint is extremely helpful in making that very profitable for them.
Jim,
Scott,
one great. Yeah, go
Just
ahead.
one very quick one that Pete has hit on a lot, and that is they don't waste a lot of floor space on groceries. They put just enough there. Now, they're going to expand it a little.
For on the way home when you're picking the stuff. So
exactly. You need that milk, you need the Tide or whatever it is. They're going to have that for you. But they're not wasting nearly as much square footage as some of the other folks who want to get you to come in and do the curbside pickup or any of that stuff.
Right.
That's a problem for some of those big retailers. That's a move that Target has not made in the wrong space.
How about his commitment to inner city? Everybody else says, "Oh, these people, you can't make it." When you get people who work hard in this country, they would like to have their own store, but these big changes all abandon these areas. He's bringing back neighborhoods. This guy's incredible. And by the way, he's from Whitestone. He does not have an ounce of braggadocio. He has no humility. That's why I have to stand up for him.
UCLA Bruin.
He's a Bruin?
Yeah, he's a Bruin.
He wears too many white shirts. He's a white shirt.
I didn't know
Red tie, white shirt.
All right.
It's a Target color.
All right, we got it now.
That's a good point.
We got it on.
What do we got?
We got it on Cornell. I can tell you that.
All right.
I think everybody knows where you stand. Why don't you have Best Buy as I know it doesn't sort of ring with the watch list, but Home Depot better than a Best Buy in your retail
Home Depot
group?
was problematic. I know that the company wasn't that happy that I said that the stock did not perform as well, given the fact that it did have better numbers than Lowe's. Sometimes I'm driven by a stock price. See, when a stock goes from, say, 230 to 217, I don't like that as much as a stock that goes higher. Call me odd. Now, look, Home Depot did not do badly. Right. And I think the stock's a buy right here. But there was a lot of fluff thinking they were going to blow out the numbers, and they didn't. And by the way, they had a problem. They had an execution problem. I don't want to hear that. And Carol Tomei was not on that call. She's retired. So I had no one holding my hand. Instead, I had someone using a bandsaw in my hand. Stanley Buck and Decker are big today.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break.
Why?
Coming up, we have to.
Oh, give me a break.
Just to pay for
Trust me. Trust me.
I'll write you a check to not take a break. How much would it cost to talk about Norfolk Southern up 2.5?
The rest of us need to gather ourselves.
Raw floors up. What's that about?
Options bulls are making moves. You can ask these guys. In airlines, healthcare, and more. John and Pete, unusual activities coming up next. Let's give you the S&P sectors, though. We're back after this.
Is the monolithic view of emerging markets obsolete?
Rainy, 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 rainy.
Sergey, why are you in such good mood?
It's raining.
And?
Rain means we take meal pups to cinema. And cinema means they'll be entertained.
And entertained means they're also quiet for a couple of hours. Oh, let's go. Enjoy more time together with 2-for-1 cinema tickets from Meerkat Movies with the Meerkat app. When you buy through Compare the Market.
Qualifying purchases, chooses on Wednesdays, participating cinemas, 2 standard tickets only, cheapest free. T's and C's apply.
Start hearing more of what you want.
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations,
Live commercial-free news,
and every live NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL game.
Visit tunein.com/premium to upgrade.
Like what you're listening to? Want to make getting back to it easier? Use the favorite button to keep track of the stations and podcasts you love on TuneIn. Just tap or click the heart icon to add it to your favorites. Then find all your go-to audio under the Favorites tab. Pretty easy, right?
When you're not listening to your team, take it to the end zone, the rim, or the net. Keep up with the biggest moments in sports by following TuneIn on social media.
Block, Cook into the end zone for the touchdown.
From reminders of the live top games to tips of the best sports stations and podcasts.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless.
Follow and tune in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
NFL fans, hear every live game on TuneIn Premium.
Running down the sidelines and running in for the touchdown. And it is good.
This Thursday, hear the home and away call as the Dallas Cowboys visit the Chicago Bears at 8:20 p.m. Eastern.
It's a block, easy touchdown, a walk-in touchdown. The third time's a charm.
At home or on the go, hear the home and away call of every NFL game this season on TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
Want to know what's happening in right now? The latest headlines are just a tap away with Fox News Talk on TuneIn. When news breaks, get up-to-the-minute coverage on developing stories from around the world. Plus, hear all the Fox shows you watch on your TV. Listen to Fox News Talk around the clock on TuneIn.
Cutting for the net, scores! On the goal line, Marshawn scores!
Hockey fans, the 2019-20 NHL season is here.
And tucks it home!
And with this team, it's really fun to be a part of a team like that.
You can hear the action live on TuneIn Premium. From regular season action to the All-Star Game and through the Stanley Cup in June. Hear the home and away call for every game, for every team live. At home or on the go, never miss a game with the NHL on TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
Welcome back. Shares of the metals and mining company Tech Resources have lost roughly a third of their value this year. Options bulls betting on upside, though. John and Pete Najarian have that unusual activity and more. Doc, you go first.
All right, stock's 1563 right now, and they're buying upside calls. You know what that means? They're looking for more, even though it's already moved 4.5% today. So take a look at what they're buying, Scott. They're buying aggressively upside calls at the 1550 strike. So we've already moved through that level today, and they're still buying these calls. I'm in them, probably be in them all the way through December expiration. Second one, real quick. I promised this guy, Jim Cramer.
Yes.
3.8% dividends.
They're going to
be at the J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference.
Oh, that's conference. We love them. We love them. Novartis, we love. I wish Nestle's had some sort of health thing. I like that one, too.
Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
when is that conference?
That's the 14th of January. They're buying January calls. I'm glad you led me into that, Scott. Thank you.
Throw me a phone book, will you?
January 48 calls.
fine, man.
They bought a ton of these calls. I am in these, and I'll be in them through that J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference.
I ask you that question just because you're betting on news coming out of the conference.
Yep, but they've also got another issue, I think just a week or so from now, Scott, a capital markets conference. But the big one, the granddaddy, is that J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference.
Yeah.
It's the first one every year, and it's a big one.
But the risk, of course, is that
this one's going to be fabulous. With some Mars. That's going to be great, too.
Yep. It's going to be great, too.
The risk is that you better get the news out of either of those conferences to make
that move continue.
To make the move by in January.
Yep, and 48 calls, not that far out of the money.
Yeah.
As you saw, stock's 46.
Okay, go ahead.
Too early to buy Smile Direct Club?
It might be. I didn't see anything in there. I'm going to jump in real quick. JetBlue. Now, we talk about a lot of different stocks in the airline world. Oftentimes, this one gets pushed back a little bit. But this is a name that's moving a little bit to the upside today. Wow. And they're coming after the D's calls. They're coming after the D's 20 calls. You'll see them here. Some nice size. I mean, we talk about size. Now, they're very inexpensive. When they started buying these today, they were approximately 20 cents. So they've probably risen a little bit with the stock. But they're playing on a breakout to the upside out of JetBlue. I like this name. I'm in these calls. I own UAL and LUV in terms of stock. But this one's calls. Wow. I like what we're seeing there.
I think UAL's great.
Some
I
nice
love Gary Kelly at LUV.
Yeah, but now I've kind of likes them too. And Buffett kind of likes these.
Can you go back to the chart for a second, JetBlue?
Okay. You got it?
Okay, look at this. David Faber taught me this. He says, David says this is a reverse head and shoulders. You didn't know that David's a chartist.
God, he's good. He's really good. I got one more for you. Nuance, real quick. So this has hit twice for us today. On 2 different occasions, they've been buying in this stock. So it's pretty interesting to see when you see it twice in the same day. The bigger of the two was the April 18 calls. They're paying about $1.15 for these calls. It was about 2,500 somewhere in there. So something worth looking at. I like it because this has always been a Carl Icahn favorite kind of a name. Maybe someday he looks at this for maybe something more than what it is right now. So that's why I like these. I'm in these calls. I'll be pulling these for a while now because I got multiple months to be able to hold on to these calls. I got a couple of updates if they want to still do that.
Sure.
All right. So these didn't work out as well. So I've got Foot Locker. This one, unfortunately, hasn't worked out.
Good comparable store sales, but then the kind of negative downbeat.
Look at that. But the nice part about this is I had options in there. So 95 cents. The next day, give or take on this huge drop after earnings, they didn't work out. So now they're trading at about a nickel. That's a loser.
Cheap.
And I'm not going to sell that because why I'm going to sell a nickel? You never sell a nickel option. So I'll be holding on to these. Maybe something good happens. Probably not. They're out to January. I got one more that's a little bit better. Capri. Now, Capri was one of these names. Yeah. Last week, into holiday week, on Monday, we had some huge call buying.
You better do something right because the Apple Watch is killing them.
Yeah, you're right. But they've got a lot of different other
No, they do. Versace. Look, I happen to like the guy. Idol. I mean, he's not my idol, but he's good. But I've got to tell you, they have misquarter. So maybe this is the one that he does.
And when they bought them on that Monday, it was 50 cents. They went up over $1. So out of that position now, Jimmy, I've sold out of those. They also expired last Friday, but a big run in just 2 days.
Do you think any possibility on the tariffs that you
probably it could be a tariff,
right? It could be a tariff.
Yeah, absolutely, it could be. Yeah,
good call.
Look at Kernan over there.
Come on back over.
Yeah,
on our way.
Is that Joe
Please?
Kernan?
That's Joe Kernan. God, he looks good.
Joe Kernan over there. Joe, how do you feeling about Joe, how do you feel about the China democracy versus the totalitarian U.S. government?
Scott, there's zero body fat between these guys. I'm sitting here just feeling bad about myself.
Thank you.
That's not true.
Thank you.
You look great.
Thank you very much.
Zero body fat.
All right, we got to take a break.
Zero hair.
We're going to go commercial. Prashant's going to go crazy.
All right. Okay. Sorry, Scott.
Okay, Joe, why don't you just go ahead and tease while you're sitting there?
While I'm here, I might as well, Scott. Thanks. Realtor.com, and it's realtor, not realtor, right? That sounds like nuclear. Remember the guy who used to say that? Anyway, out with its 2020 forecast, and it's not looking great. The economist behind the report joins us live with how bad it could actually get. I thought it was getting better. Not so. Plus, Google CEO now in charge of the entire company, while one of our guests says he just got the worst job in Silicon Valley. And is the answer to winning the shipping wars, what is it? That's ahead. In rapid fire, I'll see you then. The halftime report is back right after this.
I used to be a bit of a rubbish sleeper. I'd toss and turn all night. And somehow I could never find the comfy bit of the mattress. It was a proper nightmare. That's what brought me here. Testing mattresses in the Which Test Lab. We use a custom-made barrel rolling machine to simulate a decade's worth of use. And the mattresses that perform best are the only ones we recommend for your bedroom.
Which tests harder so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
Your old car, your loyal friend, so many memories. It's impossible to leave their side.
Until now, get £5,000 off a selected brand new Citroën when you trade in your old car.
Alors, out with the old, in with the new. Hello Citroën, hello comfort.
The Citroën Swappage. Trade in your old car for a brand new Citroën, including the award-winning SUV range.
Citroën.
Discount on OTR price of selected Citroëns excluding C1. Registered by the 31st of December when trading in a qualifying vehicle. Not in conjunction with other offers. Search Citroën Swappage for full T's and C's.
Ah, Christmas. A time for celebrating, unwrapping and unwinding.
Capture every moment with an epic iPhone 6S with a 12-megapixel camera. Now only $12.99 a month from Tesco Mobile, saving you £72. It's just one of the ways we're celebrating 100 years of great value. Go in store or search Tesco Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Saving £2 per month over 36 months was £14.99. 36-month credit and rolling monthly usage agreements required. Subject to status. Terms apply. See tescomobile.com/terms.
When you're not listening to your team, take it to the end zone, the rim, or the net. Keep up with the biggest moments in sports by following TuneIn on social media.
Block, Cook into the end zone for the touchdown.
From reminders of the live top games to tips of the best sports stations and podcasts.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip
Follow
Bayless.
at TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
MSNBC is on TuneIn. Get up-to-the-minute coverage on news and events from around the world with MSNBC's live 24/7 station on TuneIn. At home or on the go, stay up to date on the latest news and political trends with MSNBC's full lineup of shows, including Hardball with Chris Matthews.
Hi, I'm Chris Matthews. Thanks for listening to MSNBC on TuneIn.
And The Rachel Maddow Show. Plus, when news breaks, MSNBC has you covered with live updates, expert analysis, and more. Search MSNBC on TuneIn today.
Welcome back. Shares of Expedia are rallying today following a massive shakeup at the top. The company's CEO and CFO resigning after clashing with the board. They've been pushed out. Expedia saying the chairman, Barry Diller, will manage day-to-day operations while the board focuses on long-term leadership. Altimeter's Brad Gerstner is a big investor in Expedia. He's the 10th largest. Gave me this statement. I'll read it to you. Jim, I'd like your reaction to this, too. I'm in the John Malone camp that this is a terrific brand and franchise that has misexecuted and under-earned. It seems the board is taking this seriously, but the litmus test will be the plan they deliver in 2020. I see no reason this business can't earn $2.5 billion in 2020 EBITDA and continue to grow earnings at double digits for years to come. So, okay. Sounds like, Gerstner wants to see results.
I think he's right. Well,
what about notice?
The Google algorithm changed, and so then they decided to screw their own clients by raising the rates for everybody, and for all the little ins and stuff. I was a victim of that myself. I was shocked. I mean, they really have mistreated everybody. They need these new guys in. It was a good move by Diller. Good move.
Anybody? No one else is in the name.
No.
Right? No one's in the name. Okay. By the way, Brad Gerstner is going to join me next week. We're heading out west.
What are you doing?
We're going out west. We're going to San Francisco. Monday, Tuesday.
You got somebody big?
We got some good guests.
I know you do.
Can't wait.
You always do.
Great city.
When you go out there, you always do.
We can't wait. We'll leave some surprises for you, but we're going to do a lot out there. We're going to go on to L.A. and we'll talk to Jeffrey Gundlach for our end-of-year conversation on the markets.
Nice.
Looking forward to that. All right, let's talk about this. After more than 20 years, after founding Google, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, bowing out. Stock's up 250% since going public in 2004. What does that shakeup mean for investors? Jim, what does it mean?
I don't know. I Googled sex discrimination in Google, and I came up with way too much. And there's an investigation by Cravath, Swaine and Moore, the top level. Cravath, Swaine and Moore, they can't be bought. Maybe they needed a little cleanup at the top.
I think he's exactly right, Scott. And this is one of the best ways to do it. And, I think basically do as I say, not as I do. That has been a problem at Google for a while.
Sure has.
And now they're going to address it. I think the new person in charge is going to address that. So look for some significant changes.
You mean the new person in charge, Pichai?
Yeah. I think you're going to see them clean house over there, not with the engineers and so forth that are critical to their success, but a lot of the folks up at the higher level that are part of those reports Jim just held up, I think a lot of those people will be gone. And this gives them more free rein to do that.
What does it mean for the stock?
It's a buy.
It's a buy.
It is a buy?
Yep.
Yeah, look, they have a lot of disenchanted employees. They have thousands of women protesting.
They're marching against their own.
I mean, this thing
because
is
they're marching against their own company
their own
because
company.
of some of the abuses by the execs. So I think having them many of those execs might take early retirements or just decide to leave, go do something else. I think the people that replace them will make this a much better company going forward.
But don't you think it's interesting? November 6th, there was a story in the Times. The board formed a special litigation committee of independent directors. By the way, CNBC broke the story. It's too clutch story is very close to when these two gentlemen decided to hang up their hat.
Yeah.
There was some ill-advised behavior at that company, and it's not talked about enough. Maybe because people are fearful. I don't know. I think it's a good move.
Okay. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do final trades.
Your old car, your loyal friend, so many memories. It's impossible to leave their side.
Until now, get £5,000 off a selected brand new Citroën when you trade in your old car.
Alors, out with the old, in with the new. Hello Citroën, hello comfort.
The Citroën Swappage. Trade in your old car for a brand new Citroën, including the award-winning SUV range.
Citroën.
Discount on OTR price of selected Citroëns excluding C1. Registered by the 31st of December when trading in a qualifying vehicle. Not in conjunction with other offers. Search Citroën Swappage for full T's and C's.
Ah, finally another commercial, said no one ever. Visit tunein.com/premium to upgrade now and get over 45 commercial-free music stations.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Want to know a quick, easy way to see if your favorite podcasts have a new episode available? Just go to the home screen on your TuneIn app and see the latest editions under the Your New Episode section. Happy listening.
Want to hear about the latest and greatest things to listen to on TuneIn? For reminders of the biggest live sports games, debates, and breaking news stories, follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected with the audio that matters to you.
Hey, can't watch the big NBA game because your life's just too busy? I've got some news for you. TuneIn Premium is the answer to all your problems. Hear every home and away game live or on demand everywhere you go. Just search NBA to listen.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards, at the goal line, it's intercepted!
Listen live as the action unfolds or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown to Keenan.
Search NFL today.
The puck drops. 12 players face off to win. The suspense is pure torture, but you wouldn't miss this for the world. TuneIn brings you every minute of the NHL season. Listen live to hockey when it matters most on TuneIn.
All right, we're looking at what you got tonight on MAD. Tell us about it.
Okay, Avita is a company that can spray skin for burn. Burn actually graft, obviously, so horrible. This is very interesting. Elon Christ, he's turning around Mattel, of all things. He's turning it around. They got the numbers. Say Barbie is just really taking off. American Girl coming back. And then one of my favorite companies in the whole world, Robinhood, the company that I think spawned a merger, the Ameritrade Schwab merger, because they do it for free. And they're going to announce some numbers on the show that are breathtaking about how many accounts they have. And it's millennials, and they love it.
Oh, good. Okay? All right, we'll look forward to that.
I can't wait.
All right, good stuff. Let's do Ask Halftime. We got some questions coming in. Lebenthal, you're first. From Gene in Florida. Any updates on Cleveland Cliffs?
Good question. So they're buying AK Steel. Look, I think what's going on here, first you got to understand the story behind Cleveland Cliffs is Lorenzo Goncalves, the CEO. This is as dynamic a business leader you're ever going to find. He tried to give shareholders an extra dividend back in September. The market for the stock went down 15%. He said, to heck with it. I'm not returning shareholder capital anymore if that's how you're going to treat me. I'm going to buy a company that I can fix up. Listen, I got to be honest. I don't generally buy steel or iron ore companies. This is about Lorenzo Goncalves. This is a very unique individual.
Gutsy, because AKS is bad.
He can handle it. Have you seen what he did with Cleveland Cliffs? This thing was headed for the dust bin of history.
No, I like the guy.
I'm not coming at you. I'm just saying.
No, I buried a stake in your heart earlier. You know when I'm coming at you. Don't worry about it.
Believe you'll know. Okay.
Yeah, but let's not spike the football.
John, from Rich in New York on Slack.
This is one of those,
Into
Scott,
earnings tonight.
it's an awful lot like Uber and Lyft as far as it's something that many of us use every day or use an awful lot, but it doesn't make any money. They have revenue, but they don't make profit. I would not buy it ahead of these earnings, Scott. I still see downside to maybe 18 or 17 bucks.
Wow.
So I'd lay off, and then you can pull the trigger. That's $4 or $5 lower than where it is right now.
Okay. CEO, by the way, Stuart Butterfield's going to be on Squawk Box tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. First CNBC
smart
interview.
guy. Yeah. Just in the wrong tape for that kind of environment.
Check that out tomorrow. Pete, for you from Shea in New York, Luckin Coffee.
Love the name. I was lucky enough to get into this name actually in the low 20s, about 21, something like that. I have no plans to get out of this name because I think the chase for Starbucks, they're showing that they can attack. Now, they're going to have to show that they can make money sooner or later because right now they're still not making money, but I think they will in the future. And they are catching up on Starbucks very rapidly in China.
Did you just add to Starbucks or buy it?
Yeah, to 83. Kevin Johnson's doing a fantastic job, and the stock came down from 99. I really think it was just oversold. He's buying back stock hand over fist. He said it to me at the Air Force Academy.
Okay. We have a question for you from Johnny in Ohio. What financial stocks are a buy right now?
Well, it's still easy. It's JP Morgan, which is still the best. But MasterCard announced an $8 billion buyback yesterday, an increase in dividend. Nobody seems to care. I think that's a mistake. Remember, it's fintech, and they want you have to have both fintech and just regular bank.
Okay. Megan from Sanjay in New York, builders, the home builders for 2020.
Home
Good
builders,
play or not?
They've had a good run. They're up about 15% this year, but if you elongate that and look over a 2-year horizon, they're still trailing the market. We think there's opportunity. Housing made a positive contribution to GDP for the first time in about 6 quarters in the third quarter of 2019. So I think that we still have further to run. Mortgage rates are a big help there.
Okay. Final trade time. Jim Cramer, you're up first.
Okay, this morning Citi puts out a piece. They've got a sell on Tesla. And what are they doing? Well, they're raising the price target. That usually means that the guy's dead wrong. They're putting some actual numbers on it. The stock, it seems, I'm going to use the term never used ever before in Tesla, inexpensive on the out years. How do you like that?
Timer on Tesla.
Pete, I'm going to give you Twitter. I see some buying in there on the call side. It's been a great trading stock. I don't own it, but I love trading the options in this name.
Okay, Doc?
Rail traffic up for the first time in 40 weeks last week. Canadian Pacific, unusual call activity in there today.
The industrial sector. So we've been seeing some positive data out of China. Still a little bit choppy, but we like what we're seeing there.
All right, Farmer Jim.
I told you Roku was buy the dip on Monday. I'm repeating it again today.
All right, good stuff. That does it for us.
Roku.
Exchange starts now.
Real value play.
All right, thanks, Scott. Welcome to the Exchange. I'm Joe Kernan. Here's what's ahead. A dire outlook for housing. Way up now in 2020. It's supposed to be recovering by now, right? For one of the top real estate sites in the country. We'll speak about why rates this low, why there's a downturn. Plus, when yields were near 3% this year, one strategist went against the crowd and said this won't last. 1% as a handle is here to stay. Well, he was right. He'll join us with his next prediction. And Canada Goose's stock has been grounded this past year. The CEO is going to tell us his plan to goose the stock. That was not in the prompter, Dom, but I came up with that. The share's flying again, but we begin with today's rally. Goose, are you allowed to say goose?
Well, I mean, this is like a fly eagles fly for Jim Cramer, right? Or it could be like a goose eagles.
Or for the Jets, but not last Sunday.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, Joe, to your point, we've got green across the screen, and we're holding right near the best levels of the day so far. Let's focus on the S&P 500 because we're up about 21 points right now. At the highs, we were up 24, so just about near those session highs right now. Up 9 right off the bat to start the day. So the Dow Industrials, 200 points to the upside. Remember, over the last 3 days prior, we've lost 661 points, so still some ground to make up there overall, but still a very nice day for the overall market. Now, take a look at one place in particular, the consumer staples, up 0.5%, modest, and certainly underperforming the market, but we're going to put a little star up here because this is a record high for this sector in the S&P 500. It is up massively and without a lot of volatility over the course of the last year. Consumer staples, those dividend pairs, ones to watch. And then we'll end here with a look at crude oil because it's surging. Look at this, up over 4% after a bigger than expected drop in inventories in the United States this past week. That's pumping up a lot of energy names like Noble, up 6%. EOG up 5%, and Halliburton up 5% as well. So energy, a huge move today. But remember, a lot of these names, Joe, have been in downtrends for a while. So a big pop, but still, long-term, some negative returns. Back over to you.
All right, I'm going to see you later, I think.
You got it.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right, Dom, thanks. We begin with a bleak report on next year's housing market. Diana Olick is live in Austin, Texas with the details. Hi, Diana.
Hi, Joe. Yeah, Realtor.com is forecasting a slowdown in the housing market next year and a potentially record low supply of listings. Low inventory will cause home sales to drop just about 2% from this year, and home prices, it says, will flatten nationally as millennials, who will account for half of all mortgage demand, struggle to afford already overheated home prices. Now, in some major markets, Realtor.com is actually predicting prices to go negative, the first time that's happened since the housing crash. Those cities include Chicago, Dallas, Las Vegas, Miami, Detroit, St. Louis, and San Francisco. Now, with home values weakening, sellers will have little incentives to put their home on the market, and that will weaken supply further. The only good news in this report, Joe, mortgage rates will stay low.
So many good things. I don't get it. We got to talk about it, Diana. I thought low inventory meant higher prices. I'm so confused now. At least we have the author here. Do you want to, right?
But they hit a ceiling. Hit the ceiling.
It's with millennials. They don't do starters. They go right into, I don't know, where they get the money for that, without jobs. Anyway, joining me now is one of the authors of that report, Realtor.com senior economist George Ratu. So, explain that to me. Normally, I would think if inventory was tight, which it is, because nobody's building, right? Then absolutely. Why is there a risk of prices falling at the same time?
Probably because it's a story of two markets. We have the entry-level market, where a lot of millennials are active, and then we have the upper end of the market, which is really gone through.
I thought millennials weren't active in the starter home. They bypass some of that, and there are some pretty nice houses they're buying.
Some are, but we look at the numbers, right? We have the largest demographic cohort in U.S. history. 85 million of these millennials.
They waited too to do some of these things.
They did. They had to. They were in school longer. They started their jobs longer. They started their families later. And so as a result, we've had this delay in the supply pipeline. The market simply has not addressed the size of this cohort. What we've actually seen in terms of construction is all high-end luxury products, which obviously young people can't really afford. So based on that, this is where we're seeing prices basically flattened. As we were expecting price flattening, is we're running out of product to sell. So if you can't sell it, obviously, even with demand, prices don't have anywhere to go.
As it's happened in so many past cycles, home builders aren't stupid. If they see a demand and they know there's a shortage, I mean, after a lag, they'll start building again, won't they? How long will this take for the shortage to be alleviated?
I would expect that to take at least, given the build periods, the permitting, which is really restrictive in a lot of municipalities across the country, this could take easily anywhere from 2 to 5 years, depending on location.
Have you seen a period like this before? This, to me, seems like, we come out of 2008. Money's obviously more available now. Even credit is not as stringent as we were right after that. Interest rates are very low. Mortgage rates are low. I just don't understand why these aren't much better or more bullish times for housing.
Well, let's look at the last period where we saw this population boom, the baby boom period.
That's the last time we saw a population.
Well, you think about the size of it.
Okay, boomer. That's supposedly.
Well, my point is, you look at 75 million or so boomers, right, which impacted the economy.
Great people,
and the markets.
by the way.
Absolutely. Yep. Look at the 1950s. Housing supply, new houses were at every price range. You had entry-level homes, brand new. You had mid-range. You had luxury. Today, you have a cohort that's at least as big. It's actually bigger, right? And what do they find in terms of product? They have all upper end for new products. So the only existing inventory that they can really enter at is the existing home sales pipeline. And they're basically running out of product. A lot of people are in their homes. They locked in great rates. They don't want to move. And for a lot of baby boomers, the myth that they were all going to downsize doesn't really play out.
They're staying longer.
That's right.
In their homes. So in the big cities, a quarter of the big cities will see price declines, reportedly.
Yes.
Which ones? Why? And is there a way to avoid some of the home builders that are more active in those areas? That's probably not your expertise necessarily, but if you were going to buy home building stocks, you should really look to see where they play, shouldn't you?
Well, absolutely. So in terms of the cities, we have Chicago on that list, Dallas, San Francisco, Miami, areas which have really become unaffordable, and they've been unaffordable for all, but even more so for young people.
Yeah.
This is the wall they're hitting. It's an affordability wall. You made a good point earlier.
Really?
Mortgage rates are fantastic. They've been the big surprise of 2019. But at the same time, you look at prices, they've grown about 50% in the last 5 to 6 years. Incomes have only grown about 20. So they really can't stretch anymore. So in terms of supply, I look at mid-sized cities in the Midwest and Southeast. And and we're seeing migration in that direction.
All right, George. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Prefer, I mean, just if you had to pick a neighbor, millennial or boomer? I'm just wondering where you'd come down on that. I like boomers. Do you? I mean, are you
I think boomers are great. Look at
You
the
do?
fact they built a great economy.
all right, good. All right, thanks. I just wonder. I'm not prejudiced or anything. I'm just kidding. I really am. I'm sorry. I love millennials. I love them. I want them all to watch. Stocks are moving higher after President Trump said trade talks with China are going very well. The president sounding more positive than yesterday when he said a deal might have to wait until after the 2020 election. Let's get more on trade in the markets with Sri Kumar, president of Sri Kumar Global Strategies, and James Lucier, managing director at Capital Alpha Partners. All right, Sri. Yesterday or the day before, I thought, okay, we're headed to 2 again. We were 185. Then the trade stuff, we hit another bump in the road. We quickly went back down to 1.7 and change. You say more of that is to come. We're going to keep the 1 handle and maybe even go below 1.5 again. Why?
I think the trade situation is not going to be resolved, Joe. I think that is basically it. We have seen this trade deal very quickly happening, not happening, and that's been going on from May of 2018. That's not going to change. The big issue for me is what happens December 15th. I think the president may well have to not impose the additional tariffs because they are going to hit the consumers, U.S. consumers, more than China. So the problem is going to be how does he handle it? But longer term, as you go into the 2020 elections, the trade friction is going to continue to remain. We have seen that being extended to France, to Argentina and Brazil. And I think if anything, it is spreading. And that is what the rally in the bond market through yesterday was suggesting to us.
Yeah, with you, that's the one key thing we're talking about, and that is trade. And that's the basis for most of your forecasts, which have been so accurate about the 10-year. And you don't think a year or 2 years from now that these IP and any of these technology issues with China are going to be settled at that point. At best, you see a skinny first phase deal, I think.
You're absolutely right, Joe. I don't think these issues are going to be resolved. Even after the next presidential election, there has to be a compromise. What we are seeing is the growth of a second economic giant in the world, which was used to only one. We have a bipolar world, and you're not going to be able to change it. And that, I think, is going to continue to be the issue as we go into 2021.
All right. Well, James, in the stock world, when we have a little bump in trade, we see it in the 10-year immediately. But we've been at a series of new highs in the midst of a trade war. So either there's a big air pocket under the stock market, or it's marching to something other than just trade concerns. If we don't get a trade deal, can you still be long stocks?
Well, let's accentuate the positive. I think we are going to get a deal on USMCA. I think that's probably going to pass Congress in the second last vote of the year, right before they impeach Trump. That will be a strong signal for trade, but I do believe it's probably all we're going to get this year. I'm actually very worried about the China deal. I had been positive, but all the signs from China are that they're backing off. They're less willing to do a deal unless Trump gives them more tariff relief than he's going to offer. More than December, it's got to be the September round of tariffs too, and that's just not going to happen in this White House. I think Trump characteristically was giving us a bit of a heads up on that to deflate expectations. He can go up and down when he's talking about where things are going, but the reality is that he says the truth every once in a while, and there are no positive signs from the U.S. side either that we've got a deal coming.
You're very cynical, James. So, in fact, you don't think that was posturing for President Xi or for the Chinese, saying that maybe we don't. You think that he's preparing people here in the United States for the deal not to happen?
I think that's likely because when you look at the NATO situation, he's talking about lots of things all at once. China really isn't on the top of the agenda. When he wants to reassure the market, then he comes back and tells the market that everything is fine. So sometimes it's more accurate to see what Trump is saying when he's talking about a topic other than the one you're interested in.
Okay, so...
And I would add to that, Joe, that the Chinese will be better off dealing with either a re-elected President Trump or with his Democratic successor in 2021. There is no reason for them to hurry. President Xi Jinping does not have elections in November 2020. they have the advantage of patience that President Trump does not have.
So, James, do you stay long stocks or not? And make this quick, but even if
I would stay long stocks because the U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, because growth is proceeding even in the 2 range, though it could be in the 3 range. We've actually internalized the impact of the first 3 tariff rounds already. The issue is that the tariff round number 4 is probably going to go into place as well. We'll internalize that. On China, you got to look at Congress voting unanimously for the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act. They voted unanimously last night on a bill to sanction China, possibly sanction China for rounding the Uyghurs into concentration camps. Votes like that from Congress are having a big impact on the trade talks.
James Lucier, thank you. Sri Kumar, we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Maybe a little earlier in the day, but anyway, thank you. Here's what's ahead.
Thank you, Joe.
Here's what's ahead on the exchange.
Coming up, Google's CEO is getting control of the entire company as the co-founders step down as Alphabet's CEO and president. But some say he just got the worst job in Silicon Valley. Plus, can a wealth tax actually solve America's inequality issue? And Bank of America opens up their playbook for 2020. And they've got a surprising take on what's ahead for China. This is The Exchange on CNBC.
At FlexJet.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can feel your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We heart in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit. With our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99. And our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe it. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
I used to be a bit of a rubbish sleeper. I'd toss and turn all night. And somehow I could never find the comfy bit of the mattress. It was a proper nightmare. That's what brought me here. Testing mattresses in the Which Test Lab. We use a custom-made barrel rolling machine to simulate a decade's worth of use. And the mattresses that perform best are the only ones we recommend for your bedroom.
Which tests harder so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
Millions of people are missing out by having a current account that doesn't pay them any interest on their hard-earned money. TSB offers interest to all their Plus account customers for no monthly fee. Plus, you can stop your friends and family missing out by recommending the Plus account to them. And when they switch, you'll both earn £75. Search online or visit your local branch. Terms and conditions apply.
A major shakeup at one of the world's biggest tech companies. Larry Page and Sergey Brin are stepping down from their roles at Google's parent company, Alphabet. Sundar Pichai. Got it. Nailed it. The current Google CEO will step up to the big chair. Investors seem to like the news with the stock up 2% today, but did he just get promoted to the worst job in Silicon Valley? Here with more is CNBC.com technology editor Steve Kovac. He gets all those businesses that are loss leaders. Right. Suddenly he has to take responsibility for those, but he really couldn't say I want to exit those because he has no voting. They still keep voting.
That's
control.
the thing.
So is he in charge or not?
He still has to answer at the end of the day to Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who have majority voting stake on the board. They said we're going to maintain and be active board members. And all these other bets that we talk about at Alphabet, those are their pet projects. the smart cities, the crazy self-driving cars, all that curing death.
Well, that's the
another
one I wanted
Yeah.
to focus on. See, I
Yeah.
think if they need a little more money for that, I think we should do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Are they getting
they're-
close? Do you have
they're
any?
Not even close. But the CFO.
They're not close yet?
Yeah, but the
You
CFO
answer me
with FOREX,
serious.
Yeah, she was brought
Curing
in
death.
to rein in those expenses, and
Right.
she's done a pretty good job about it. But people are going to be he's going to have to take a serious look at this portfolio of companies they have, and how do we deal with this? How do we manage this?
That's amazing. The business itself, the business that he's been running, there's some issues there too. I mean, it should he could focus on that, and not take on this other stuff.
Right, and I mean, he's been running the majority. Keep in mind, Google is Alphabet. Google generates practically all of their revenue. That's where all their profits come from. And there have been so many issues bubbling up over the last couple of years, whether it's practically all 50 states attorneys generals going after them for antitrust, whether it's employees in revolt over sexual harassment policies and things like that.
And you can help me here, being a millennial. A lot of woke stuff. They hired a guy that had something to do with some...
He was the chief of staff for Secretary Nielsen at the DHS.
And there was a Muslim ban. So now...
Right, and he spoke in favor of the Muslim ban, and that's why some Googlers
But it could be
are upset
climate,
about that.
it could be...
But it's a lot of things. It's also being angry about...
What about sexual harassment?
Exactly. A top executive getting a $90 million payout that caused thousands of workers to walk out last
married
fall.
an employee.
Exactly, and others are marrying employees. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of open revolt and anger within the ranks of Google.
Such a great business, though. I mean, that's why it's $1 trillion.
It is slowing down, though.
That's what I want to ask you.
The digital ad business,
are there problems
the growth is slowing. So, and that's an issue you have to look at. You have to look at how can we offset that. And they're doing things in the cloud. They hired Thomas Kurian as the head of their cloud business. That seems to be growing nicely. Yeah. But of course, none of this is nowhere near what the digital advertising business generates. So that's the problem. Where do we go next? The idea with Alphabet was one of these companies is going to be the next Google. And that just did not happen. And it doesn't show any signs of happening.
So what if he says, okay, this is not going to... I want to get rid of this. Does he have to clear that with Sergey?
He's going to have to go to the board and say we need to reorganize and think about how
go to the
deal
board
with Alphabet
to close down one of these.
And with the dual class voting structure, Page and Brin have the final say on that kind of stuff. And these are their pet projects. This is why they started Alphabet to begin with. They didn't want to work on Google anymore. Right. They wanted to do these fun side projects.
And now they're saying it's your problem.
And now they're saying it's your problem. And by the way, we've just shielded ourselves as all this antitrust scrutiny is going to come up next year and in the coming years. And Sundar, you take care of it. We're just going to sit back in our board seats.
Right. Plus they're in there. I checked today. I think they're 46 or something?
46, yeah, and Sundar's 47. So they got some years left. They're not millennials.
No, they're not millennials. But I don't know if I'd be so involved if I had. How much do they each have?
Oh, billions.
Tens
yeah,
of billions.
Yeah, easily. And
anything going to work? Any of those things going to work?
The best bet they have right now is Waymo, which is their self-driving cars. That seems to be the business with the most promise. Everyone, even traditional car companies, are doing that.
So curing death, they're not actually talking about praying. They're talking about
no. They're talking about science to make you live longer. There's been
because I was hoping for the singularity.
They hired the guy who Ray Kurzweil.
I want that to happen and download my brain, but just in case I still pray quite a bit because just sort of back up.
Right, and that's they say live forever, but they really mean live to 400.
Right, 400. Where you'd be so tired
exactly
of living.
You want to give up anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, please take me.
Jets still won't have a Super Bowl. Anyway, thank you. Yeah. I like having an audience.
I know.
Thank you, Steve Kovach. For more on Steve's thoughts on Sundar Pichai's new headaches, head over to CNBC.com. Coming up, Papa John's ousted founder claiming the company has changed its pizza recipe. CEO addressing that on CNBC today. So, did they or didn't they? We have the sound. The stock, by the way, up more than 50% this year. Plus, is this the answer to winning the shipping wars? UPS, Amazon, and DHL all participating in a new program aimed to ease congestion. But will it help them deliver holiday packages on time? That's ahead. What do you think?
Wall Street banks.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like 4 Reels. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
How many tours till Christmas? You know it's not far off when the Advent calendar goes up. At Asda, we've a great range to choose from, including Maltesers and Galaxy calendars for just £2 each. And our Asda Free From Advent calendar, just £2.50. Asda, let's make Christmas extra special. Selected stores subject to availability, 93 grams to 110 grams.
Want to power through your projects for less? Get 20% off power tools at the B&Q tool shop, like the Bosch 18-volt 2-battery combi drill. Was £80, now only £64. You can do it when you B&Q it. Excludes DeWalt 18-volt 4-amp combi drill, Dremel 3000 15-piece and power tool clearance. Ends 24th November. In-store only on 23rd and 24th November, subject to availability.
In case you didn't know, TuneIn lets you listen to the same radio stations you pick up on your home or car radio, except you can hear them from anywhere. If you want to find a station from somewhere else in the world, navigate to the By Location section under Browse. Keep exploring with TuneIn.
On the goal line, Martin scores! He takes it home!
Hockey fans, the 2019-20 NHL season is here.
Here's Pietrangelo, he scores!
And you can hear the action live on TuneIn Premium.
Gonna move, hit a shot, he scores!
From regular season action to the All-Star Game and through the Stanley Cup in June. Hear the home and away call for every game, for every team live. At home or on the go, never miss a game with the NHL on TuneIn Premium.
Upgrade today.
NFL fans, hear every live game on TuneIn Premium.
Running down the sidelines and running in for the touchdown. And it is good!
This Thursday, hear the home and away call as the Dallas Cowboys visit the Chicago Bears at 8:20 p.m. Eastern.
It's a block, easy touchdown, a walk-in touchdown. The third time's a charm.
At home or on the go, hear the home and away call of every NFL game this season on TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
Welcome back to the exchange. Here are some of the movers this hour. Shares of Viacom higher on its last day of trading as a standalone company. After the close, its deal with CBS will officially close, and the company will be called Viacom CBS and trade under the ticker VIAC. Expedia shares up more than 6% after the company ousted its CEO and CFO this morning. The two executives were forced to resign after clashing with the board of directors over the direction of the company. And Workday shares are moving lower by 5%. The company reporting earnings that beat estimates, but it then issued a weaker than expected outlook for the next year. Now to Sue Herrera for a CNBC News update. Hey, Sue.
Good to see you, Joe. Thanks so much. Here's what's happening at this hour, everyone. 4 legal experts testifying before the House Judiciary Committee this morning. 3 said President Trump's actions clearly met the definition of impeachable offenses. A 4th dissented.
President Trump's conduct, as described in the testimony and evidence, clearly constitutes impeachable high crimes and misdemeanors under the Constitution. In particular, the memorandum and other testimony relating to the July 25th, 2019 phone call between the two presidents.
It's not wrong because President Trump is right. No. It's wrong because this is not how you impeach an American president. This case is not a case of the unknowable. It's a case of the peripheral.
The Trump administration is tightening work requirements for the federal food stamp program. The move will slash benefits for hundreds of thousands of people. It will restrict states from exempting work-eligible adults from having to obtain steady employment in order to receive benefits. But the change will save $5.5 billion over 5 years. You are up to date, Joe. That's the news update this hour.
So confused. I'm so confused, Sue. They're constitutional lawyers. One of them says definitely impeachable. The other one says definitely not impeachable. Are they economists?
That's part of the process, right?
I don't know. It's going this way. They're stuck.
Oh, we're just beginning. It's just beginning.
All right, Sue. That's clear. Clear as mud. Thanks, Sue. Here's what else is coming up on the exchange.
Ahead. The CEO of one of the best-performing food stocks speaks out against its founder. In a surprise move, Peloton lowers prices. Is a bigger slowdown ahead for China? And Canada Goose's wings have been clipped over the past 12 months, but the CEO has a new strategy to fly again. It's all coming up on The Exchange.
This piece is talking to me.
Yeah? So, what do you see?
Millions of people are missing out by having a current account that doesn't pay them any interest on their hard-earned money. TSB offers interest to all their Plus account customers for no monthly fee. Plus, you can stop your friends and family missing out by recommending the Plus account to them. And when they switch, you'll both earn £75. Search online or visit your local branch. Terms and conditions apply.
Ah, Christmas. A time for celebrating, unwrapping and unwinding. Capture every moment with an epic iPhone 6s with a 12-megapixel camera. Now only $12.99 a month from Tesco Mobile, saving you £72. It's just one of the ways we're celebrating 100 years of great value. Go in store or search Tesco Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Saving £2 per month over 36 months was £14.99. 36-month credit and rolling monthly usage agreements required. Subject to status. Terms apply. See tescomobile.com/terms.
When you're not listening to your team, take it to the end zone, the rim, or the net. Keep up with the biggest moments in sports by following TuneIn on social media.
Block, Cook into the end zone for the touchdown.
From reminders of the live top games to tips of the best sports stations and podcasts.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless.
Follow at TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
It's College Football Conference Championship weekend, and TuneIn is your home to hear all the champions crowned. This Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the SEC Championship. The undefeated LSU Tigers, led by the Heisman frontrunner quarterback Joe Burrow, look to cap their perfect regular season. However, it won't be easy as their opponent, the Georgia Bulldogs, will be hungry to pull off the upset and earn their ticket to the college football playoff. Catch all the action on TuneIn. Search college football to find your game.
Want to know what's happening in right now? The latest headlines are just a tap away with Fox News Talk on TuneIn. When news breaks, get up-to-the-minute coverage on developing stories from around the world. Plus, hear all the Fox shows you watch on your TV. Listen to Fox News Talk around the clock on TuneIn.
Introducing a new podcast, ESPN Daily. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Mina Kimes. Listen now to ESPN Daily on TuneIn.
That's probably good. Let's catch you up on a few stories that should be on your radar. It's time for Rapid Fire. Here with their takes, Dom Chu, Kate Rogers, and Robert Frank. Good morning.
Good afternoon, Joe.
All right. First, this Peloton stuff. We got, I don't know. Peloton announcing it's bumping down the price of a digital membership from about $20 to $13. A pricing play makes sense for the fitness company. This year, 17 million people used the digital membership without the expensive equipment. Only 1.6 million customers have actually shelled out thousands of dollars for the bike, but the stock is falling nearly 6% today after criticism over its new holiday ad. All right, so a lot of people are doing the floor exercises. They just subscribe to it, and they're getting service. A lot more people than I see. With me, I don't do any of the, I don't watch any of the TV. I just have the expensive equipment, and sometimes I'll hang a shirt on one side. I'll hang like the pants. You can fold them over the other handlebars.
The treadmill's good for pants.
The treadmill is very good for pants, but there's a lot of different attachments where you can hang. I have shoes on the, where you stick them in the. No, I don't. What is with the ad? What is with the ad? Do you understand what's so bad about the ad?
Guys, you want to take it away?
I will say this. I watched the ad like 15 times, 3 more times today after they came out with their statements.
They responded about it, saying we still like it.
I think people misunderstood whatever it was.
But the stock's down now.
The stock is still down. I kept watching it, and I feel terrible because I haven't found anything offensive about it. It was maybe not the most well-crafted ad, but I couldn't see what some of the people were offended
The 90s song is offensive, number one.
Tal Bachman song?
Yeah, that's offensive.
Everybody on Twitter hates everything, right?
Yes,
so
that's true.
should we really respond?
8,000 nasty.
Yeah, and it's like, and also, inspirational stuff belongs on Instagram. Like anything that's inspirational, that wants you to exercise more, feel better, that's where Instagram goes. Anything that inspirational on Twitter is always criticized. Whether it's wealth or health or anything else.
It's very expensive equipment. They live in a really nice house. They're already really thin, and it's just sort of all kind of
People just
annoying.
said it kind of struck every wrong note
Right.
with them.
And
I think
she's really trying hard for
her husband.
For the husband.
I think if you ask your husband for a
it's not how it is in my house. I'm trying really hard.
You're making the vlog for your wife.
I'm trying. No,
All right,
yeah,
we'll catch
I'm
up
trying.
next year.
I'm trying.
I mean, if you asked for a Peloton and he got it for you, that's fine. I think that it's a little cheesy. The vlog is an odd Christmas gift to give to your husband a year later. I will just say on the subscription model, their fastest growing segment are people who make less than $75,000 a year and also people under 35.
But they don't have the equipment.
Exactly, but if you lower the subscription that you don't need the equipment for, that could be a smart move for them
it's
to
a
continue
Netflix
growing.
subscription.
Exactly,
And that's how much
and
a
what's
Netflix
another subscription for
costs,
someone under
right.
35? We already have so many.
Until they can make an app that can spot me on the leg press or return the weights to the rack, I'm not buying it.
With you. I thought you were skipping leg day. You told me that.
I never skip leg day.
You said you skip leg
He
day.
doesn't look like a kind of guy who skips leg day.
I do 2 leg days a week.
There's 7 days. Anyway, next up, after delaying its IPO earlier this year, a source tells CNBC.com that Postmates is in talks to find a possible buyers. Too many of these things. The company is also laying off dozens of employees under an initiative codenamed Project 170, and it's closing its office in Mexico City. Remember, the company raised $225 million from private equity just 3 months ago. What's the problem?
You just said it. I mean, there are multiple delivery platforms, and there are almost too many. Not only are all of these restaurant companies competing with one another, all of these different platforms are also competing. You just heard the Grubhub CEO talk about promiscuous diners going from platform to platform. A lot of these platforms are being subsidized with this venture capital money. They're giving a ton of discounts out to customers. Something's got to give here, right? There's going to be consolidation, perhaps merger between two of these big companies.
So you're
We'll see.
a promiscuous Taco Bell diner, aren't you?
No, I'm pretty faithful.
You're
faithful
No,
to
to be
Taco
honest,
Bell.
I mean, I do love Taco Bell. I will have any. You're right. I will have any Mexican food.
So if you were to get delivery from Taco Bell,
Yes.
what would they actually make off that delivery? Maybe like $5?
Not much.
Yeah,
Considering,
and it's just a bad business model right now.
But you know what? But here's the thing: bad business models were able to raise money 5 or 6 years ago,
That's right.
7 years ago. What happened now is that the total environment for public or private companies looking to go public or private companies looking to take their evaluation to the next step is gone. I mean, you cannot say that you're an unprofitable business that burns cash all the time and then still expect people to say, hey, we're going to give you 30 times EBITDA for your company anymore.
The good thing, I call it the immaculate correction. This could be a correction without a crisis, where WeWork was the crisis, but we don't have a 1999-2000 .com bust.
Right, it happened in the
to correct it. It's just rationality starts overtaking. So
it's kind of good that it's not the retail investor. It's all these fat cats that
Right.
even notice anyway. And we can do Elizabeth Warren's work for her, make these guys poor before we even.
The market's working for her.
One more thing I'll add is that it's really tough to find delivery drivers because the labor market's so tight. So if you, as a Domino's, well, Domino's doesn't use these aggregators, but any of these companies that deliver in-house, if they also team up with a Grubhub or a Postmates,
There's
it
no
makes it a
difference
little easier.
between any of them?
I mean,
Grubhub, Uber,
It's all
it's all service, and it's all in, and Seamless particularly works with a lot of these smaller
We need a bell or
independent
a
restaurants.
whistle or something.
Well, a lot of people will just go to the promiscuous point.
Can you get Papa John's on this?
You can get Papa John's,
All right.
but the ones with the biggest discounts, obviously, are the ones that cost.
Well, it's because that's my really great segue into getting a slice of this. Papa John's turnaround story is in full force. Stocks up more than 50% this year. The man behind the comeback, Papa John's CEO Rob Lynch, on Squawk on the Street this morning with a list of what he's focusing on for the pizza business. Here's what he said.
We're focused on making sure that we're delivering our better ingredients, better quality message, while also bringing new types of products and new types of food for our customers. And then we're also really focused on making sure we got the right technology infrastructure to support our business moving forward.
He doesn't care about the CEO, does he, either? Did you ask him about John Schneider?
I did. So John Schnatter obviously last week came out and said
Criticism.
he had 40 pizzas in 30 days, which is a big number. I'm a pizza lover, but that's a big number.
Yeah.
He also said the pizza's just not the same. They changed the recipe. So we asked Rob Lynch today, and he said, same recipe, same ingredients. Mr. Schnatter is entitled to his opinion. We're very focused on our franchisees, our employees, and our pizza. I mean, investors are obviously buying what he's putting out there. The stock is up about 40% since he was named CEO in August. Positive positive same-store sales this past quarter for the first time in 2 years, 1% growth, but it seems like the company's on the right path. They've slimmed down the management team. They're doing some innovative things when it comes to the menu. That's not something that Papa John's has done in the past under its old leadership. So, it looks like he's got some good ideas and people are excited about it.
And it's been done before, revitalizing something you didn't think could be revitalized with Domino's. I mean, it's a way to return to your roots, right?
Certainly, Domino's, Chipotle's done it too under Brian
right.
Niccol. I mean, you've seen a lot of new CEOs come in and really turn these businesses around, so it certainly is possible.
But you knew the Taco Bell guy was going to do well at the Chipotle, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was a no-brainer for me. I should have bought the stock there.
It's technology and throughput. That's what I mean, perhaps more than what's in the dough recipe.
I mean, I would say this. I think the biggest deal for Papa John's was whether or not they were going to alienate their customers in the wake of that whole Schnatter kind of crisis. And it's kind of all evidence to the contrary. Customers stuck with them, and they're still buying pizza.
It's taken 2 years, though, and now 2 CEOs
What's
because
this
Steve Ritchie
segment
is no
called?
longer there.
Rapid fire.
Well, we could do like an hour called rapid fire, I think, because I have to keep going, and every single time we're right in the middle of something, and they're yelling at me. Okay, thanks to all of the online binge shopping, planes, trains, and automobiles are out in full force to make those deliveries. New bikes are being deployed in that last mile delivery race, but. Get this, they're part of a bid to reduce congestion on the road. We had to get to Frank. Okay, that's a good one.
He's on my screen.
Frank Holland bringing us all the details of this commercial cargo bike pilot program. I get so nervous watching these guys in Manhattan, Frank, but at least it cuts down on congestion.
Absolutely right, Joe. That's the whole plan. These are some of the 100 cargo bikes you're going to see in New York City streets delivering packages this holiday season. Amazon, DHL, and UPS are all taking part in the program. And as you mentioned, the idea is to reduce congestion. The pilot program's focused on the area below 60th Street. It's the same area where New York City will begin congestion pricing in 2021, charging drivers and commercial vehicles to enter that area. It's also about safety and sustainability.
It's so, I kind of think are you down in Flatiron, Chelsea? Where are you, Frank?
Yep, we're down in the Flatiron right now.
Yeah.
And so Robert, just for your ratification, no leg day on these. These have electric assistance and pedal assist. So you're not going to get a workout, but you will get your package. You have to keep in mind, about half of New York City people, they got a package delivered to their house, or get a package delivered to their house at least once a week. So a lot of congestion with these vans and cars and different people dropping off packages.
Frank, I guarantee it's just going to add more congestion because you've got so many packages being dumped on the sidewalk, lined up for delivery people. You've got all the Uber cars. Right. There is so much sidewalk and street traffic now in that part of New York City, and now this is just going to make it worse.
I just don't get how this is going to be at all economical because of the things that Kate just mentioned about Seamless, Grubhub, and everything else. If you cannot find people to take the job to drive those things, are you going to get people out there to ride their bikes and deliver these packages as well? You're still going to run into the same labor problem in these markets that these delivery drivers always have.
Are these in bike lanes, Frank? Are they riding in bike lanes? How are they getting around?
Okay, they actually ride on the city. So that's one of the questions that was actually asked in the press conference that just wrapped up a short time ago.
That's going to go well.
They do ride in the street just like a car, but they can actually park on the sidewalk.
I want a fender. I mean, and a fender's not stopping a Denali. You know what I mean?
So wait, Frank, those are going to park on the sidewalk?
In some cases, they can park on the sidewalk, but they have to be ADA compliant, American with Disabilities Act compliant, and not obviously block an entrance for a wheelchair or something else. But the idea here is that they kind of go around the city. They can get off the street when they need to, bring up your package, and then get back on. Right. But it's about reducing congestion and, remember, also sustainability. A lot of fatalities involving cyclists and trucks. Right. So the thought is if you get a few more trucks off the road, maybe bicyclists would be safe.
Self-driving would be good here, too, because at least
drones is
going to hurt. Yeah, drones. All right, thanks, Frank Holland, Dom Chu, Kate Rogers, and Robert. Frank, I got to like her. I would talk more. Ask you what you're doing later, but I can't. Coming up, Canada Goose shares down 43% in 1 year. Can a store without inventory, but with a 30-foot glacier wall, hook customers? We're going to take you inside that store and hear from the CEO next.
When I lost my sight.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirits with our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whiskey for just $12.99 and our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
My name's Ian and I run the Christmas Centres for Crisis. Many people in Britain are homeless, stuck in hostels, sleeping on floors, even on the street. You can change this. Our Christmas centres provide people with food, safety and support, and show them how Crisis can help them find a home and a job in the year ahead. You can reserve a place at Crisis this Christmas for just £28.87. Search Support Crisis Reserve and help someone take their first step out of homelessness this Christmas. Thank you.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
It's College Football Conference Championship weekend, and TuneIn is your home to hear all the champions crowned. This Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the SEC Championship. The undefeated LSU Tigers, led by the Heisman frontrunner quarterback Joe Burrow, look to cap their perfect regular season. However, it won't be easy as their opponent, the Georgia Bulldogs, will be hungry to pull off the upset and earn their ticket to the college football playoff. Catch all the action on TuneIn. Search college football to find your game. Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? We've got you covered. With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to every NFL game live as it's happening.
LaShawn McCoy has an opening on the right side, punches into the end zone for the touchdown.
Or catch it later on demand.
Offset backs behind Mahomes. The give is to Williams. Starts right, cuts it back to the left, and blows into the end zone for the touchdown.
You call the plays. Follow the NFL anytime, anywhere, all season long with TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
Welcome back to the exchange. Canada Goose shares higher today, but getting roasted in the past year amid Hong Kong protests and counterfeits. Down now 43%. There is one store the company hopes customers will flock to. It's offering a different kind of shopping experience. Courtney Reagan got a peek inside and spoke to the company's CEO.
The entrance of the store is called the crevasse. It literally means deep crack in a glacier. As you walk, it sounds as if the glass is cracking under your feet. The walls are made to look and feel like rock, and you can hear above the soundtrack of the Arctic. Now you're in the gear room. You're going to get a brief explanation of the merchandise, and you're going to choose the gear that's most appropriate for you and how you deal with cold, and then you're going to take it inside the cold room. Now you're in the cold room. This is about 10 degrees Fahrenheit, but can get as low as -4 degrees. It's meant to simulate Arctic conditions. Well, Canada Goose does have other cold rooms. This is the only one that has actual snow.
What's really important is the experience and to be experimental and to try new things, especially in this day and age where, as we all know, retail is changing.
If the Canada Goose Journey store did its job, you'll actually leave empty-handed. There's no inventory here, but you can come to one of these kiosks, pick out the item that you like, and it can be delivered to your home the same day or the next day if you live right here in the Toronto area.
God, oh my. Courtney joins me now live from Canada Goose headquarters in Toronto. You put a lot of puns in this package here in the lead up to it, Courtney. I know that's you. You put all those. Is it a multi-purpose room? I mean, did you see any steaks like in the corner, or is it just to go in and try the coats on?
That would be great grilling, maybe some ice fishing, but no, it is just a cold room so that you can try on the coats and see how it feels. And I'm wearing a dress, so I had on some tights, so I was relatively bare-legged going into that room. And there was a pretty significant difference between what I felt wearing the coat up top and then what my legs felt like. And walking through this crevasse area was pretty cool. I mean, literally it sounds like you're cracking the glass as you step on it. I'd much rather do that on glass than an actual crevasse in a glacier. That kind of freaks me out, but it is a pretty cool experience. Yeah. I do think it's interesting that there is literally no merchandise. If you like the jacket, you got to order it and they'll ship it to you. If you live in the area, it'll get to you the same day, but if you live far away, it's UPS delivery. It's a really good idea to actually demonstrate how it works. And people buy things they feel and can actually touch it, even though you don't have the coats. But that's pretty neat, Courtney. Thank you. Freezing. Thanks, Joe. I'm going to get cold watching. Anyway, coming up, the wealth tax debate goes on. A new op-ed in the Financial Times, believe it or not, that says it wouldn't be great. In the Financial Times, I was shocked. Looking at some of the unintended consequences, the author will join me live next.
Deeper data at CNBC. global semiconductor sales falling 13.1% in October from the same month a year ago. But the data also shows a slight pickup from the month before.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
When it comes to music, I've heard it all. Pink Floyd, Sean Paul, Slipknot.
But in the Which Test Lab, hearing isn't enough. When we test headphones, we really listen. Not just to the music, but to the stuff that gets in the way. The traffic, the chatter, all that. Mind the gap. We simulate the loudest commute to find you the headphones that cancel out the noise. So you know we're only recommending the best.
Which tests harder, so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
Christmas isn't just about the turkey, you know. At Asda, we've a whole range of delicious joints to bring the family together. Like our Butcher's Selection pork loin at just £3.97 per kilo. And our Butcher's Selection beef joint at £4.97 per kilo. So, who's on carving duty? Asda, let's make Christmas extra special. Selected stores subject to availability.
Your holiday travels just got a lot better with a subscription to TuneIn Premium. With sports, music, news, and podcasts for the whole family. It's the gift that will really move them. Search Premium to upgrade today.
Want to hear about the latest and greatest things to listen to on TuneIn? For reminders of the biggest live sports games, debates, and breaking news stories, follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected with the audio that matters to you.
Hey, TuneIn listeners, Steve Kornacki here from NBC News. I want to tell you about a podcast I'm hosting called Article 2, Inside Impeachment. It's dedicated to bringing you the latest developments on the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I talk to NBC News reporters who are closest to the story to break down what's new, what matters, and what it means for the 2020 election. Search and favorite Article 2, Inside Impeachment on TuneIn.
Are you curious what others are listening to on TuneIn? Head to the trending section under Browse to see the most popular stations and podcasts among TuneIn listeners right now. Check it out. You might just discover something new for yourself.
Presidential candidates Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders proposing a wealth tax in a bid to fund their initiatives and reduce inequality, but a new op-ed in the Financial Times casting some doubts on whether wealth taxes can live up to those promises. Joining me now is the author of that piece, Megan Green, a senior fellow at the Harvard Kennedy School. And just, Megan, welcome, thanks. I wish we had more time, but I just wish we'd figure out exactly what we want to do with it. That's where I'm usually lost. Just lowering the high end doesn't help with income inequality if you're not sure about exactly how to spend it. But you're saying that just lowering the high end might not be a great thing for the economy overall.
Yeah, that's right. So about 12 different OECD countries had wealth taxes as recently as, a couple decades ago. And most of them have abandoned them because they don't tend to raise that much money. The cost of administering a wealth tax is actually really high as well. And then, as you point out, it's not like rich people are keeping their money in a vault somewhere. They usually put it to work so that they can make more money off of it. And often it's put to work in terms of investment and ultimately helping companies hire. And so if you implement a wealth tax and it actually forces the wealthy to remove their wealth and send it elsewhere, which is often the case, we saw that particularly in France when they had a wealth tax, then actually you're just depriving the system and your economy of that kind of investment and money for hiring. And so ultimately you end up reducing productivity and potential growth. And so while the tax is actually levied on the ultra rich, the implications end up being borne by everyone.
And we all think that, well, in Europe, I don't know if it's true. People in France, they just moved to Belgium. I don't know whether that's true, number one. But it is easier to move, I guess, in Europe to another European country. And we can't do that here. So they say, well, it'll work here. It's never been tried here. But when you describe it that way, it doesn't, if you're not raising the money. Plus, rich people have ways of hiring people to make sure that they get around it some other way too, don't they?
Yeah, so you're right that the U.S. it could be a little bit more effective in because we have global taxation and we also have a treaty, FATCA, where American citizens have to report all their wealth abroad anyhow if they comply. Yeah. But the U.S. also specializes in tax advisors who help you kind of delay or avoid tax payments as well. And also, I know that Senators Warren and Sanders, who are both proposing a wealth tax, say that there will be no exemptions. Now, that's never happened in the history of wealth taxes. There are always exemptions, often for really good reasons. So, you know, if they're worried about equality, they'll exempt pensions. If they're worried about the environment, they'll exempt farmland, for example. So it's often for good reasons, but then it creates incentives for the wealthy to pour their money into that. And of course, also, you know, wealth taxes are, it's on net wealth. So that means that it, you know, doesn't include debt. So it also encourages the wealthy to leverage up. Yeah. Right. And as we've seen, you know, more leverage is often not a good thing. And so it encourages them to leverage up and pour it into these exempted areas. And so while if there were no exemptions, that would be good, you know, the lobby power of the rich is incredibly high. And so I think that would be formidable.
Keep it up, Megan. Say it loud. Scream it from the mountaintops. Just make sure you go out in a disguise if you're back in Cambridge. Someone might recognize it, might recognize you, and you're saying all these things. I mean, 2 cents, how could that really hurt anyone? Megan Green, that's what we hear, right? 2 cents, how can that hurt? Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, pull the hat down over your... Anyway, coming up, Bank of America opens up their playbook for 2020, and they got a surprising take on what's ahead for China. The man behind that report joins us live next.
Hi.
At TUI, we can help you find the perfect getaway for two. We fly to over 70 destinations worldwide, so wherever you have in mind, we'll help you get there. Book now and spread the cost with £0 deposit when you pay with direct debit. Book online or in store with one of our travel experts. At TUI, we cross the T's, dot the I's and put you in the middle. Offer available on selected holidays for a limited time and subject to availability. Booking T's and C's apply. At all protected.
Your holiday travels just got a lot better with a subscription to TuneIn Premium. With sports, music, news, and podcasts for the whole family. It's the gift that will really move them. Search Premium to upgrade today.
On this week's On the Media, seeking answers to our domestic troubles, we look east to Poland, a country wrestling with disinformation, xenophobia, and a battle over its own story.
The assumption that we had finished with those arguments and that we'd all learned the lessons of the Second World War was wrong.
Tune in for this week's On the Media from WNYC. Listen to the On the Media podcast on TuneIn today.
The Better Network is now on TuneIn. This is Brent Musburger. Search the Better Network. That's the BETR Network. And then let us get you better prepared to better enjoy the day in sports. The NFL, college football, basketball, hockey, baseball. Sharpen your edge. The Better Network is now on TuneIn. Be better informed. Be better prepared. Search the Better Network. That's BETR.
Right now, instead of hearing this, you could be listening to the music that keeps you moving with TuneIn Premium. Find today's biggest songs and all of your favorites commercial-free. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
It's College Football Conference Championship weekend, and TuneIn is your home to hear all the champions crowned. This Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the SEC Championship. The undefeated LSU Tigers, led by the Heisman frontrunner quarterback Joe Burrow, look to cap their perfect regular season. However, it won't be easy as their opponent, the Georgia Bulldogs, will be hungry to pull off the upset and earn their ticket to the college football playoff. Catch all the action on TuneIn. Search college football to find your game.
Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, out with its forecast for 2020. Says the global economy and the U.S.-China trade conflict will enter the eye of the storm next year in the form of a noisy ceasefire in an election year in the U.S. For more, I'm joined by the Grinch himself, Ethan Harris, head of global economics research at Bank of America. Who invited Merrill Lynch? Who invited you on, Ethan? I don't even want to talk about this. Bah humbug.
You're the boss. You're the boss. You must have invited me on.
I did. But seriously, I mean, slower growth here than we've had recently. downgrading global growth fairly significantly, and I guess not a surprise, China growth as well. But all in all, just downgrades on GDP around the world.
Yeah, and I think that's a story about where we are now. I mean, we're heading into the new year with the trade war really hurting the global manufacturing sector and capital investment. But there's actually a silver lining here in this piece, in that we think by the spring, things will start to bounce back a little bit. It's not going to be a great recovery because we think this is just a ceasefire in the trade war. We don't think it's the end of the trade war. But so I don't think it's quite as dire as you're laying out.
Okay.
I think we'll look a little better by mid-year.
I just try and sell it. So by Chauncey Gardner, by the spring there will be growth. I've heard that before, Ethan. That's exciting. But it does hinge around what happens with China, and that's not a given, I don't think.
No, and I think that the way things are developing, the best we can hope for is some very small deal between the U.S. and China, and that alleviates some of the concern about tariffs in the long run. But I think many businesses will look through that and say, well, where are we going to be a year or two from now? Are we going to be still in a ceasefire, or is the trade war going to come back after the election? The other concern is that China is still weakening. I mean, the U.S. economy is showing some signs of bottoming out at kind of trend-like growth. But China's still weakening. They haven't been able to get a handle on this slowdown. So those kind of green shoots that everyone's looking for are looking kind of brown in China right now.
You know, Ethan, people think that our labor market's so tight that eventually the Fed is the next move is going to be up. I mean, if you see this growth slower, and I think you're also lowering your inflation expectations, why would the next move be up? Why wouldn't we possibly even see a rate cut next year?
Yeah, I think cuts are more likely than rate increases.
That's amazing.
The Fed's pretty much super glued to its seat right now, but to get them to hike, they have to be really convinced that inflation's coming back in a real way. They are very concerned that they've spent the last 8 years desperately trying to get normal inflation. It just hasn't happened. They're worried about kind of a Japan scenario where the U.S. ends up with this chronic zero inflation. So they have a bias to be easy here. I think a cut's more likely than a hike in the next year.
Trying to get beyond that super glued to my seat analogy. That sounds painful, Ethan, but thank you. We appreciate it. We'll have you back, maybe in the first quarter and try and figure out, maybe if we get a little bit.
Find out if I'm right.
Get a little bit more clarity. I'm fine, I think. I just checked. I'm sliding around. Everything should be good. I think I can get out of here. Thank you. That does it for the Exchange. Power Lunch starts right now.
Thank you so much, Joe. I'm Bill Griffith. Here's what's new at 2 on Power Lunch. Stocks snapping back. The Dow up 200 points, reversing a 3-day slide that was caused by those concerns about the U.S.-China trade negotiations. But can you trust this bounce? Plus, a dire housing warning for 2020, and the National Association of Realtors is saying a silver tsunami is coming. Sounds scary. We'll tell you what it means for home prices. And then later, the Crocs comeback. The stock is up 400% since CEO Andrew Rees took over back in 2017, and he'll be here with us to tell us what's behind the latest boom. Power Lunch starts right now.
Welcome to Power Lunch. I'm Seema Modi. Let's take a look at where we stand for markets right now. The Dow, as you can see, up about 200 points, 0.75%. The S&P and NASDAQ also higher. Check out the small caps up nearly 1%, the big winner as you take a look at the major indices there. Check out the transports as well. Trucking higher, bouncing back from a week of losses. We'll have more on that move in just a moment. For more on today's comeback, though, let's get over to Bob Pisani over at the New York Stock Exchange. Bob.
Hello, Seema. Good day. We're holding up right near the highs, 3-1, advancing to declining stocks. Just take a look at the sectors today because the worst performers are doing well today. So, for example, energy is the best performing sector, worst performing sector this year. It's trading to the upside. Banks, semi, and industrial stocks all moving forward here. Consumer staples, historic high as well. We're seeing some new food stocks like Campbell's doing really well today. Hormel all at 52-week highs. Healthcare stocks also doing well. So what's moving the markets right now? The important thing here, two big positives. The Fed's still neutral and the consumer in the United States still really strong. These are two big things keeping the markets right near new highs. The other one's a little bit uncertain. I'm saying uncertain here. Uneasy truce on trade. Global economy still mixed. We're trying to figure out exactly what's going on with the global economy. The numbers have been a little odd recently. So if you take a look, for example, here, China's services have been above expectations. This was overnight. European services were above expectations. U.S. services still above, still growing, but a little bit on the below expectation side. And the U.S. jobs, the ADP, early indications, that was a miss. So we're getting some mixed signals on the global economy. The thing that moves the markets, though, is trade. Do you feel like yelling at the stock market about all the frustrations up and down every day on trade headlines? A lot of people feel that way. The trade talk outcome is uncertain. Even the principals don't know, and that's why we're getting all this craziness. The trade headline creates chaos, and all the intraday traders are using this to trade around it. It's the most important thing. So I know it makes everybody crazy. I know a lot of people want to yell at the stock market, stop making us all crazy on the trade headlines. But when you deal with intraday traders, and that's the big mover, you're just going to get a lot of volatility until we get a little clearer picture of what's happening. Seema, back to you.
Bob, thank you. As Bob was just saying, Wall Street dealing with some whiplash, not only from battling trade headlines, but as fears of a recession are reignited this week. Senior economics reporter Steve Leisman joins us with a look at the outlook for 2020 and how Wall Street forecasters are giving their erasers a workout. Steve.
Yeah, Seema, Wall Street forecasters struggle just like investors to figure out the outlook for trade and its effects on growth next year. In general, they say prolonging the trade war and increasing tariff has three effects. One, increases downside risk to the economy and limits the potential for an upside surprise. It also confirms their modest growth forecast for next year. Some economists have baked in what they call trade peace, and some just aren't buying it. Goldman Sachs, writing on November, quote, "We expect the drag from the trade war to fade gradually, although much could still go wrong. We now expect a phase one agreement to be signed in coming weeks." That was back on November 22nd. But after the president yesterday said there may not be a trade deal until after the 2020 elections, Mike Ferroli at JP Morgan told me, quote, "We never swung all the way to thinking the trade peace was breaking out. So it's not like we have to do a big pivot here." Goldman has a more upbeat 2020 outlook at 2.3%. They're on the right side of the survey we did yesterday. They're banking on trade peace. JP Morgan not banking on it all, only at 1.5%. UBS most pessimistic of all at 1.1. We contacted a half dozen economists after the president's comments. Most have just about had it with taking out the erasers. Several inclined to assume the worst on trade and be pleasantly surprised if they're wrong.
Is there a trend to the growth, how it ebbs and flows during the year?
So what you see is not only did we ask everybody their annual and then we averaged all that up to, the average, by the way, is 1.7 there. What we see is that there's a bit of a debate. Is the fourth quarter right now or the first quarter the bottom of this slowdown? And what you see is that it goes to 1.5 now, kind of 1.5 on the next quarter. And then it gradually ticks back up, but it only gets to 2% on average by the end of the fourth quarter next year.
About where we are now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Steve Leisman, thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, despite the prolonged trade war and the fears of an economic slowdown looming over this market, our next guest says, just keep buying stocks. We bring in Dan Devereaux. He's the president and CEO of Canaccord Genuity, of course, the Canadian-based wealth management and capital markets firm. Welcome to New Jersey.
Thanks for
having us here today. You just heard all the walls of worry that the economists have about the economy next year, the trade war, slow growth, not only here, but in China as well. But yet you still see 10% growth for the stock market next year.
Certainly, if you look at what our market strategists are saying, a low interest rate environment, an accommodative Fed, an environment where we still see record levels of cash on the sideline, predicts that the market overall for the next year, we could be at 33, 3350, 3400. So continued upside in the market, albeit tons of volatility.
Yeah, just not in a straight line.
Yeah, for sure not in a straight line. You've got record high valuations meeting record high cash on the sidelines. That means people are worried, but they still have money to spend.
So then what will take this market higher by 10% next year? Sectors that you see opportunity?
For sure. I mean, there's a whole bunch of sectors. If you look at, again, what our analysts are saying, you've got, transformative sectors, technology sectors, where businesses have to transform. We're also big in the wellness sectors and healthcare sectors. Those are relatively recession-proof. Not that we see a recession, but they're going to do well no matter what happens in the broader market.
If there's a sector that you're identified with, I guess it would be cannabis.
Yes.
With all the work you've done in helping these companies come to market, and I'm not making this up. This headline just showed up on my iPhone from USA Today that says, Willie Nelson has quit smoking weed.
Good for Willie.
Now, there's another wall of worry for that. But, I mean, this has been a volatile sector as we await some more regulations, more laws. The House just passed their version of the bill that would federally make cannabis legal here in the United States. So where do you see this group going longer term here?
Yeah, it has been an incredibly volatile sector, and certainly investors, have suffered of late in that sector. But what's happening, like with any new sector, markets are determining who the winners are going to be and who the losers are going to be. And the winners generally are the well-capitalized companies. It's a massive industry. This is $20 billion in revenue this year. Like, people are going to make money with $20 billion of revenue. At the end of the day, people will make money, but not everyone's going to make money. And the problem is, we're proud of what we did. We took 100 companies public. Like, there's a lot of, public companies out there that have raised billions of dollars. And now, the industry's trying to figure it out. But you're right. There's a lot of good things that could happen. There's legislation that happened. There's state votes that happen on, adult use. There's, the vaping stuff going on and tracking down the illegal producers. So, there's a lot of industry developments happening for sure.
I was going to ask you actually on that point, how do you think Juul and the role it's playing in the rise of teen vaping has had an effect on the price action that we've seen in a lot of these cannabis stocks, which are trading at least 30 to 40% off of their recent highs?
Yeah, for sure. Well, like I said, on the vaping side, it really hasn't been the legal operators that have been problematic. It's been the illegal problems. It's been the illegal operators, and they're not sure what's going in the product. So, some certain states take a dramatic approach and cut everything off. Others, try and take a more pragmatic approach and figure things out. So it's really going to depend state by state.
I'm not kidding. Willie Nelson has quit smoking weed. Apparently he discovered it's not good for you. I don't know, whatever. Dan Devereaux, the CEO of Canaccord Genuity, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it very much. And coming up, a dire forecast from Realtor.com for the 2020 housing market. We'll tell you why a silver tsunami could send home prices plummeting. And what was out is in again. Crocs staging a massive comeback, this time with teenagers. The Crocs CEO will join us later to discuss what's driving sales right now. Power Lunch is back after this.
This CNBC program is sponsored by
Christmas, a time for celebrating, unwrapping, and unwinding. Capture every moment with an epic iPhone 6s with a 12-megapixel camera. Now only $12.99 a month from Tesco Mobile, saving you £72. It's just one of the ways we're celebrating 100 years of great value. Go in store or search Tesco Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Saving £2 per month over 36 months was £14.99. 36-month credit and rolling monthly usage agreements required. Subject to status. Terms apply. See tescomobile.com/terms.
I've always loved a kitchen experiment, especially smoothies. I've blended all sorts of mad combinations. Strawberry and charcoal, broccoli and chocolate. Not my best, that. But when I test blenders in the Witch Lab, it's not about flavour, it's about performance. Our tests use proper tough stuff, hard ice, strong veg, rough nuts. And the blenders that can hack it are the only ones we recommend for your kitchen.
Which tests harder so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
Owning your own business doesn't automatically make you an accounting expert. So it's good to know that when you choose to manage your money with Sage, you don't just get great business management at your fingertips. You get great local support too. Anytime, anywhere. Simple solutions from Sage. Trusted by over 1 million British businesses to manage finances, operations, and people. Find out more at sage.com/automate.
Your holiday travels just got a lot better with a subscription to TuneIn Premium. With sports, music, news, and podcasts for the whole family. It's the gift that will really move them. Search Premium to upgrade today.
This is not a commercial. This is a reminder. With TuneIn Premium, you could be listening to more music commercial-free. Get over 45 commercial-free music stations. Visit tunein.com/premium to upgrade.
Want to hear about the latest and greatest things to listen to on TuneIn? For reminders of the biggest live sports games, debates, and breaking news stories, follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected with the audio that matters to you.
Be better informed, be better prepared. The Better Network is on TuneIn. This is Brent Musburger. Search BETR and start hanging out with me and my guys in the desert weekday afternoons. The Better Network is now on TuneIn.
Want to know a quick, easy way to see if your favorite podcasts have a new episode available? Just go to the home screen on your TuneIn app and see the latest editions under the Your New Episode section. Happy listening.
Welcome back. A new housing forecast from Realtor.com raising some red flags for the new year. Sales for existing homes will fall 1.8%. Home prices will flatten nationally, but prices are expected to fall in major markets including Chicago, Dallas, Miami, and San Francisco. Realtor.com's chief economist explained last hour why young home buyers, in particular, are having trouble entering the housing market.
They have all upper end for new products. So the only existing inventory that they can really enter at is the existing home sales pipeline. And they're basically running out of product. A lot of people are in their homes. They locked in great rates. They don't want to move.
With us now to discuss, Jessica Lautz, Vice President of Demographics and Behavioral Insights at the National Association of Realtors, and our own Diana Olick, who covers real estate. Jessica, let's start with you. Just 3 months ago, we were talking about how lower rates and a lack of homes available in the market would result in higher prices and a bidding war to break out in 2020. And now we're talking about prices set to fall. I guess this has to really do with an affordability issue that first-time home buyers are facing.
The affordability issue is still there. The demand is extremely strong. And while it's strong for millennials, for potential first-time homebuyers who want to enter the market, we also need to look at seniors who actually do want to downsize into a smaller home. They may be empty nesters, but they actually can't find a property. So the demand is strong on both sides.
Diana, I guess this isn't a big surprise. Over the last couple of years, we've seen home prices rise by 5 to 6% every year, well above inflation. So maybe it's time for the market to cool a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen prices actually heating up this fall as there's been such strong demand. But this prediction next year that prices will flatten and potentially fall in major markets has more to do with the supply issue. If millennials are your major demand factor and they can't find affordable homes for themselves, then there's nothing for them to buy. They stay in the rental market or they only buy homes that they can afford. That's not really pushing the prices up. On the higher end, you have more supply, but you have less demand. I'd actually be curious, though, Jessica, you talk about this silver tsunami that is more older homeowners wanting to downsize. I keep hearing more about aging in place and multi-generational living in these houses that's keeping that supply off the market. Are you seeing any of the same thing?
They're staying in place, but the demand is there to want to downsize. They may have other individuals living in that home, but that really comes down to a limited inventory situation. And I want to say that the NAR forecast does show that rising home prices in 2020. We still predict that home prices will continue to rise because the demand is so strong. If there's any retreat in that, it's only at the very high end of the market. But really, we see for inventory so low and the demand as strong as it is, both for younger buyers and for older buyers who may want to move.
Diana, you've been doing stories like this for us on Nightly Business Report for so long now, and it would seem that rather than things getting better next year, they're going to get worse. This dynamic that exists between the younger buyers who were locked out of the market and the older buyers who are not budging at this point, right?
Right, and if we keep turning to the home builders and saying, well, if there's so much demand and so little supply, where are the builders?
Right.
And the answer that I get over and over again is, well, we are ramping up production, but again, it's still in that move-up level or on the high end. They are trying to pivot to that entry-level home, but look at the costs that are involved. Very high costs for land, labor, for compliance for new regulations. That's a big one. So home builders are saying they would love to get into that entry market. They simply can't due to costs.
So Jessica, on that point, at one point, will the developers understand that the market dynamics are changing in the housing market and build different types of houses so more first-time home buyers can afford the houses on the market?
Diana is absolutely right. They face a lot of limitations to put those entry-level homes into the market. They really are focusing on that luxury high-end market for condos and city centers, which are really not that attractive to many young families or for people who still want suburban living. It's really difficult to be able to convince them that these types of products, the affordable single-family home, is something that needs to be built.
Interesting discussion. We appreciate both of you joining us, Jessica Lautz and Diane Olick.
And there's at least one billionaire hedge fund manager who is not to be worried too much about home prices right now. He just set a record for the most expensive home ever sold in Florida. That sounds like a story Robert Frank should be doing for us. Robert?
Hey, Bill, yes, the rich are different. Hedge fund billionaire Steven Schoenfeld and his wife Brooke just paid $111 million for this estate in Palm Beach, making it the most expensive home ever sold in Florida. Now, Schoenfeld is the founder of Schoenfeld Strategic Advisors. He will use it as a vacation home and said he doesn't plan to move out of New York. Now, the estate is called La Rêverie. It's 6 acres stretching from the ocean to the intercoastal. It's 70,000 square feet, 11 bedrooms, 22 bathrooms. It's got a bowling alley. It's got an ice cream stand, a spa, parlor, pool, tennis court. Now, it was sold by Sidell Miller. She, by the way, is a hair care tycoon. She had listed the property for $200 million. Now, the estate is on a prime stretch of Palm Beach known as Billionaires Row. You've got a house a few doors down that had held the record. It sold this summer for $110.2 million. The buyer of that property is unknown. Ken Griffin is a little bit north of that. He has a property that he spent over $200 million assembling to build his dream home. And then a little north of that is Mar-a-Lago. So pretty good neighborhood in case he has to borrow a cup of sugar from one of his neighbors.
And it is no accident that this is happening in Florida. You have been itemizing many times how the high-end real estate market in states like New York and California are suffering because of tax issues, and that's not the case in Florida, is it?
Not at all, and in this case, he's not moving there, but what's helped this market, particularly in Palm Beach, is the sense that prices are not going down. What's sort of stalled the luxury markets in New York and parts of California is the sense that prices are going to go down further, so the wealthy are just sitting on the sidelines and waiting. In Florida, you've got stable or even rising prices in Palm Beach, so the buyers figure, look, it's not going to get any better for me, so we're going to jump in now. That's why you had these 2 sales back to back in this one part of Palm Beach for over $100 million in just 6 months.
I know there are fewer Chinese and Russians coming to the U.S., Robert, and buying luxury real estate. Has that hurt prices at all?
Well, in Florida, New Yorkers are the new Russians. It's the emigres from, as Bill mentioned, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, even Illinois, that are fleeing the SALT changes and those higher taxes to Florida. So, yes, those foreign buyers are basically gone from most of South Florida, with the exception of some of the Latin Americans. But the northeastern folks have come in a big way, and that's what's turned around the South Florida luxury market when compared to New York or California.
Maybe we'll talk again in another month when another record is set.
Exactly. We probably will.
Thank you, Robert Frank.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, transport staging a turnaround after a dismal session yesterday. How to play it next. And it's not just Alphabet getting a C-suite shakeup. Expedia is soaring after its own executive exodus. We've got those details coming up.
I'm George Kurtz, CEO of CrowdStrike.
Dua Lipa. See her live across the UK in May and June with Priority. If you're on O2, get Priority tickets up to 48 hours before general release right now. Search for Priority.
I'll tell you why.
Dua Lipa. Live across the UK in May and June. Unforgettable live music experiences with O2. O2. Breathe it all in. Terms apply.
How many tours till Christmas? You know it's not far off when the Advent calendar goes up. At Asda, we've a great range to choose from, including Maltesers and Galaxy calendars for just £2 each. And our Asda Free From Advent calendar, just £2.50. Asda, let's make Christmas extra special. Selected stores subject to availability, 93 grams to 110 grams.
Ho, ho, ho! Want to make Santa's job a whole lot easier this year? TuneIn Premium is the gift your loved ones can enjoy all year long. Featuring commercial-free news from MSNBC, Fox, CNN, and CNBC, plus music, podcasts, and live sports. TuneIn Premium brings the best audio to you. Forget the stocking. And stuff their phone with the Everything Audio app. Search Premium to upgrade today.
Want to hear about the latest and greatest things to listen to on TuneIn? For reminders of the biggest live sports games, debates, and breaking news stories, follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected with the audio that matters to you.
Want TuneIn to remind you when the big NFL game is about to get underway? Be sure notifications are allowed on your phone and search NFL on the TuneIn app. Find the game you want to hear under events and tap Notify Me. We'll let you know exactly when it's time to listen in for kickoff.
The swagger of a perfect dunk. The rush of a three made from all the way downtown. The adrenaline surge of great defense. Can you feel the goosebumps yet? There's nothing like live NBA and nothing like listening live on TuneIn.
Giannis down the lane to the rim, throwing right corner three. Another
TuneIn Premium brings you every minute of the NBA season, so you can be there when it matters most. Never miss the action as it happens. Hear the ball you love. Hear it live on TuneIn. Search NBA today to start listening.
Want to know a quick, easy way to see if your favorite podcasts have a new episode available? Just go to the home screen on your TuneIn app and see the latest editions under the Your New Episode section. Happy listening.
Welcome back to Power Lunch. I'm Mike Santoli at the New York Stock Exchange. A beaten down corner of the market is staging a major comeback today. The transports, Dow Jones Transportation Index, snapping a 4-day losing streak in a rally roughly twice the size of the broader market on the day. Let's bring in your Trading Nation team, Matt Maley of Miller Tabak and Michael Bappas of Bios Advisors at Rockefeller Capital. Matt, so a little bit of a bounce today, but really the transports have been in a range for most of the year. In fact, if you go back a couple of years, they were basically trading where they are right now. How does the pattern look to you, and where would you, I guess, look within the group for some opportunities here?
Yeah, there's no question this group has been lagging this year, and we're looking at two levels in the transportation index. First of all is the 11,000 level, and that's the top end of the sideways range you've just spoke about that we've been in really since January. The thing is, if we break out of that, though, we still that still won't take us to new all-time highs. That's still 8% from where we're trading right now. So this may be a 2020 thing, but there's no question we're going to need this group to see new highs if the market's going to see a nice rally in 2020, like it usually does in an election year. But the one stock I think are really going to help it is Union Pacific. Here's a stock that's the 180 level. That's going to be the key level to watch. It's bumped up against that level 3 different times. Each time it's come back. If it can finally break above that level in any kind of meaningful way, it's going to be very bullish for the stock and for the rail group overall, which has been acting very well. And then, of course, that would in turn would be good for the entire transportation sector. So I'm looking at Union Pacific very closely right now, kind of as a catalyst.
All right, Michael, obviously a lot of issues, cross currents here, trade exposure, also some struggles for the air freight companies. But on the other hand, airlines should be doing well in a decent domestic economy. So how would you look to try and play some of these areas?
It's interesting, and it's a timely conversation in the holidays, but we think there's a dichotomy in the space. I mean, you have some of these transport companies that are feeling the Amazon effect, like FedEx, like UPS, and how all of that shakes out. But then you have the airline companies who are in consolidation, are going to further consolidate, and they're a beneficiary of a growing economy. So, and then you have a company like Union Pacific that's just done great. I just think it's a stock picker sector, if I can use that, and I think it comes down to earnings, it comes down to growth in the holiday season, and sustaining the margins for the first and second quarter of next year.
All right, we will see if any of these guys can do that. We got a few weeks to figure this all out in terms of the holiday stuff. Matt and Michael, thank you very much. For more Trading Nation, head to our website or follow us on Twitter at Trading Nation.
Bill, back over to you.
Thank you, Michael. So ahead on Power Lunch, Crocs making a big comeback. The colorful clogs finding new life with teens, Visco girls, whatever they are, and even superstar rappers. The CEO joins us coming up next. Plus, Alphabet's C-suite shakeup. The company's CEO, Larry Page, stepping down. Sundar Pichai is stepping up. What's next for that company? And Slack reporting results after the bell tonight. That stock's been slacking off since its IPO. We'll tell you the one thing Wall Street's watching for coming up when Power Lunch returns.
And now, the latest from tradingnation.cnbc.com and a word from our sponsor.
Overbought and oversold indicators are generally used differently depending on whether the stock is range-bound or trending. Look to buy a range-bound market when an oscillator, such as the RSI, falls into oversold territory and then moves back above it. Look to sell a range-bound market when the oscillator rises into overbought territory and then drops below it. I'm Lee Bohl, and Schwab is the better place for traders.
You could think getting commission-free trades.
This winter, there's no place like Wicked, the award-winning West End musical. Discover the incredible untold story of the Witches of Oz and how one came to be called good and the other wicked. Wicked at London's Apollo Victoria Theatre. Extra shows added for Christmas.
How many tours till Christmas? You know it's not far off when the Advent calendar goes up. At Asda, we've a great range to choose from, including Maltesers and Galaxy calendars for just £2 each. And our Asda Free From Advent calendar, just £2.50. Asda, let's make Christmas extra special. Selected stores subject to availability, 93 grams to 110 grams.
Ho, ho, ho! Want to make Santa's job a whole lot easier this year? TuneIn Premium is the gift your loved ones can enjoy all year long. Featuring commercial-free news from MSNBC, Fox, CNN, and CNBC, plus music, podcasts, and live sports. TuneIn Premium brings the best audio to you. Forget the stocking. And stuff their phone with the Everything Audio app. Search Premium to upgrade today. It's College Football Conference Championship weekend, and TuneIn is your home to hear all the champions crowned. This Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the SEC Championship. The undefeated LSU Tigers, led by the Heisman frontrunner quarterback Joe Burrow, look to cap their perfect regular season. However, it won't be easy as their opponent, the Georgia Bulldogs, will be hungry to pull off the upset and earn their ticket to the College Football Playoff. Catch all the action on TuneIn. Search College Football to find your game. Don't want to miss a second of your NFL team's next matchup? Let TuneIn remind you. Just make sure notifications are enabled on your phone and search for your team profile on the TuneIn app. Then, find the game you want under events and tap Notify Me. We'll send you an alert as soon as live coverage begins.
The swagger of a perfect dunk. The rush of a three made from all the way downtown. The adrenaline surge of great defense. Can you feel the goosebumps yet? There's nothing like live NBA and nothing like listening live on TuneIn.
Giannis down the lane of the rim, throwing right corner three, another
TuneIn Premium brings you every minute of the NBA season, so you can be there when it matters most. Never miss the action as it happens. Hear the ball you love. Hear it live on TuneIn. Search NBA today to start listening.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sue Herrera. Here's your CNBC News update at this hour. Georgia Republican Governor Brian Kemp has chosen Kelly Loeffler, a wealthy conservative businesswoman and political newcomer, to fill an upcoming vacancy in the U.S. Senate. This going against President Trump's preferred candidate.
I am angered by the impeachment circus. I oppose it. It's a distraction and a sideshow. Just imagine what could be done if Democrats would stop fighting President Trump and playing politics and start working together.
A train derailed in Colorado following a crash with a semi-truck. It happened early this morning in the town of Plateville. No injuries were reported, luckily. The cause of the wreck is under investigation. And former President Jimmy Carter is feeling better after being hospitalized for a urinary tract infection. A Carter Center spokeswoman says he's looking forward to returning home soon from a South Georgia medical center where he was taken over the weekend. And we wish him a speedy recovery. That's the news update this hour. Seema, back to you.
We certainly do. Sue, thank you. Let's get a check on markets right now. The Dow is up about 200 points. The S&P and NASDAQ are also higher. All the major indices rebounding from a three-day slide as hopes for a trade deal ahead of the December 15th deadline continue to build.
As for today's market movers, shares of Peloton continue to go lower after the company responded to criticisms and confusion over its Christmas ad, saying that some had misinterpreted that commercial. The company also lowered the price of its digital subscription to $12.49 a month from $19.99. Today's losses extend Peloton's slide, already down 9% this week. Salesforce trading lower after reporting disappointing earnings guidance. The cloud company expects both its fourth quarter and full year 2021 revenues to come in short of Wall Street expectations. And finally, shares of semiconductor company Marvell have been slipping today after a downgrade from BMO to market perform from outperform. Analysts said that at the current valuation, they no longer found the risk reward compelling. Seema.
Let's take a look at the oil market, Bill. Closing for the day, crude prices are actually on the move, jumping 4%, posting best day since mid-September. Now, there's two factors really driving the rebound here. First, a larger than expected drop in U.S. inventories last week. Second, comments from Iraq's oil minister saying his country and other key OPEC members support deeper production cuts. We'll continue to watch the energy space as OPEC's biannual meeting kicks off tomorrow. And Bill, energy, the best performing sector right now.
And it has been the worst performing sector this year, so it's due for a comeback, I guess. Yeah. Meantime, speaking of comebacks, Crocs staging a huge comeback, once left for dead. Company famous for its distinct clogs is on fire. The stock's up 400% since June of 2017 when current CEO Andrew Rees took the reins. The brand is now the 7th most popular footwear brand among teens, according to Piper Jaffray. That is Crocs' highest ever rating in the firm's semi-annual teen survey. Crocs clocked more than $1 billion in sales last year. That due in part to its strategy of high-profile celebrity collaborations like Vera Bradley and Post Malone, and of course, Visco Girls, which I know all about. I was just kidding earlier. So can Crocs stay on top? Let's bring in Andrew Rees, the CEO and president. And for the record, you are wearing Crocs today.
Every day, always wear Crocs.
I was joking with our staff, wondering, I said, but if he's wearing them, then, we got a real story here.
How could you wear anything else?
Right? Exactly.
Can't run the company.
You did two things to turn this company around, you feel. It was about collaboration with these celebrities and personalization of the product as well, right?
Yep. So we went back to what we're good at, right? So we're good at making molded footwear. We have some unique technologies and processes we do to do that. We're known for our classic clog, which is the core of the business. And then we were able to make that classic clog relevant to a broad set of consumers, including those teen girls, through collaborations and personalization. Collaborations we do with a variety of brands and artists. So in front of me, we have the Post Malone collaboration that we will release next week. Personalization is all about those gibbets, the things that you put in these holes.
Which we will show you, I guess. We got some gibbets over on some other.
Very popular this holiday season, too.
Very popular, very popular. So, and the personalization is very, very important. It's a global megatrend, right? So across the globe, that younger consumer wants to be able to turn a generic purchase into a personal purchase and tell a story. They can do that through the gibbets on the shoes, and it's an incredible vehicle.
But the teen customer tends to be very fickle. They're hard to please, and many times there's something they really love, but then within 2 months they're on to the next big brand. So how do you make that customer come back to Crocs?
So I don't think they're as fickle as you make out, right? So I think they're fickle when you give them something they don't really need. Maybe the prime example is a gibbet spinner, right? So they didn't really need that, just doesn't provide any value. When they need something, when they're buying something that provides a lot of value, they stick with it. If it works, if it makes sense, and they influence a lot of people. So they influence parents, they influence siblings, they use social media. So they're an incredibly important consumer because they influence people and they bring more people to the brand.
How do you choose the celebrities that you're going to collaborate with, like Post Malone?
Well, some of them is organic, right? So Post Malone we actually saw him wearing our shoes in concert on a repeated basis. So we reached out to him. He clearly liked the brand. He had an affinity to the brand, and he was excited to collaborate.
And what did he do? You know, this is his shoe now.
He
helped design it.
Absolutely.
So what's different about this one that makes this distinctly Post Malone shoe?
So he's telling a story through these shoes that is important to him, and he believes is going to be important to his fans. So he helps collaborate, design these things, and he has a lot of creative input into what we produce for him, as do our other collaborators.
Yeah.
So just 2 weeks ago, we had Luke Combs. That was a camo clog with a bit of a hunting theme, which is something that's important to him and to his consumers.
And Wall Street clearly likes this story and the relationships you have, not just with Post Malone, but Justin Bieber as well. The stock is now up about 400% since you became CEO, but your sales or your costs have also been rising by around 40% of sales. Do you continue to see expenses rising next year as you try to market to other customers overseas?
Yeah, so over the last 4 years, we've gone through a very deliberate effort to reduce costs. So we've reduced our SG&A quite significantly. As we go forward and as we're able to grow revenues and grow our gross margin, we will see SG&A leverage and improve profitability.
I also want to ask you about your partnership with Amazon, because just about 3 weeks ago, we saw Nike take off their products off of Amazon because direct-to-consumer is working so well for that retailer. How do you see your relationship with Amazon evolving from here?
Yeah, direct-to-consumer through digital mechanisms, whether it be your own website or Amazon, critically important. And we believe we want to do both. Right, so our own e-commerce business, our DTC business, growing very significantly, but we think Amazon is an incredibly important vehicle to reach a very broad set of customers. They've invested massive amounts of money in creating an incredible infrastructure to be able to serve customers.